Go Black Stars, go! And that's how we're starting the show this morning. It's our hope today, but we'll be getting into that shortly. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. As always, I do this together with Bernice, Abu-Baidoo, Lansah, and of course, Mapito Sibidi. Now, right after the news this morning, we'll get into the news review as Sami Obeng of the Parliamentary Network Africa joins us. And then we get into our big stories. Today, it's the big one. We're repping the flag as Ghana takes on Portugal in their first match in the Mundial in Qatar. Now, what are Ghana's chances? We'll hear from some connoisseurs of the game as well as you. What do you think? And what do you think the prospects are? Well, away from that, in the first hour when we delve into that, we'll also be talking about our state of finances, aka the budget. The finance minister is to present the 2023 budget, but can this bless Ghana with that Celtic miracle and restore the broken economy in the midst of an IMF program? What are your expectations? What are you looking forward to in the budget? We'll be hearing from stakeholders and, of course, you as well with your thoughts. Well, later, we'll also give you the chance to join us with your thoughts on the issues as we discuss them on the show. So today, it's a two-pronged approach, the Black Stars and, of course, our budget statement. What are your thoughts? The hashtag is AMShow. And, of course, when we activate the phone lines at the tail end, we'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts with us. Up next, the news. Do stay. Welcome on the News Belt. Now, in our first story, the minority says today's budget will exacerbate the suffering of Ghanaians as they allege government intends to introduce a litany of taxes. Speaking to journalists, member of the Finance Committee, Thomas Ampemnyako, claimed that government would increase the VAT rate to 20% from the current 17.5%. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante looks ahead at this presentation in Parliament.
In Parliament had been hoping they would get the support of their NPP colleagues to remove Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta through a vote of censure. It appears they will not get that now after the NPP MPs beat a retreat and decided to allow the embattled Ken Ofori-Atta read the budget. Leader of the minority say they feel betrayed.
President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will go down in history under the Fourth Republic as the president who most disrespected public opinion. Because as far as we are concerned, public opinion is not supportive and favorable to the continued stay in office of his failing, beleaguered lame duck minister for finance, the Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta. We feel let down and we feel betrayed by the majority caucus, who have shown no wit in supporting us with our impeachment process within the letter and spirit of Article 82 of the 1992 Constitution. It is a step on oversight and parliamentary oversight, and it only weakens Parliament in exercising its oversight in calling ministers to order.
But ahead of the budget tomorrow, the minority say Ghanaians should brace for more hardship.
The information we are picking up doesn't look good for our dear country. The budget that is due to be read tomorrow promises to be a budget full of taxes. In fact, what we are hearing is that this government intends to increase VAT by 2.5%. They intend to increase income taxes, and they intend to remove a lot of exemptions on Momo. So even merchants are going to be subjected to Momo taxes. We have known this government to be insensitive, but we never knew that their level of insensitivity will be this high.
Meanwhile, NPP MP for Kaikwe Central, Patrick Boama, says he expects Ken Ofori-Atta to present a budget of hope.
Good budget to give Ghanaians the hope for debt sustainability, to ease economic hardships, to bring a program that in collaboration with the central bank towards the stabilization of our currency. Ghanaians need hope from the budget, and that's all Ghanaians expect.
The minority say they will not support this new raft of taxes that the alleged government is introducing tomorrow, particularly the 2.5% VAT increase. This will move VAT from the current 17.5% to 20%. They say all these new taxes will be rejected, just like they did the e-levy last year, but which was eventually passed. But the House is expected to be tested tomorrow when Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta presents the 2023 budget. Despite getting the 98 NPP MPs to back down on their demand not to have him present the budget, the minority are poised to give him a hard time tomorrow in the House. For Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Well, the new Patriotic Party caucus in Parliament, meanwhile, has been urged by the party's executives to stand down as far as their demand for the removal of the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is concerned, till after the 2023 budget statement is read and appropriated. This follows a meeting with the caucus on November 22 to find an amicable resolution to the impasse in the MPP parliamentary group. Some 98 NPP MPs have been demanding the immediate removal of the finance minister, accusing him of economic mismanagement. But can the majority caucus stick to their stance? Let's take a listen to the rebel majority from when they made their position known.
Had occasions to defend allegations of conflicts of interest, lack of confidence, trust against the leadership of our finance ministry. The recent developments within our economy are of great concern to the greater majority of members of our caucus and our constituents. We have made our grave concern to the President through the parliamentary leadership and the leadership of the party without any positive response. We are by this medium communicating our strong desire that the President change the Minister of Finance and the Minister of State in the Finance Ministry without further delay in order to restore hope into the financial sector and reverse the downward trend in the growth of the economy. Meanwhile, we want to serve notice, and notice hereby served, that until such persons as aforementioned are made to resign or removed from office, we, members of the majority caucus here in Parliament, will not participate in any business of government by or for the President by any other minister.
However much that you heard us speaking last 2 weeks, that based upon the intervention of the President, we would have to see the Minister of Finance do his work, read budget, see through appropriation, and then the President will act. Over a few days, we've had the Finance Minister speaking. And his speaking is informed majority of us in the caucus. Not only to state that we are back to the original position that we took. And that original position is to say that the Minister of Finance will not be the one who must read the budget and must not be the one who do the appropriation. We are here this morning to say that this is going to be very soon for you to see the position of us. And we are going to be positively defiant on that posture until that action is taken. However, we are not going to support the cause of the NDC in the chamber this morning. The cause of the NDC is premised on falsehood, propaganda, and reasons that are not justifiable. Their position might look like ours, but it's not the same. You will not be able to come to level 10 issues that borders on criminality over a person who is not there to defend himself. And we have come to let you know Let you not confuse the public or yourselves about the cause of the majority and that of the minority.
Well, moving away from there, talks between government and labor unions for an increment in base pay has ended inconclusively. Labor is asking government to increase the base pay by 60% for the 2023 working year. JoyNews has learned that the government offered to pay 15% from the initial 12%, but the unions have rejected the offer, describing the proposal as a, quote, drop in the ocean. Michael Ashali has been on this beat and brings us the latest.
The labor unions, together with government, have met at least 3 times in the last 7 days. The unions are asking for at least 60% increment in their base pay for the 2023 working year. What we understand is that government is only offering to pay 15%. Initially, it said 8, now 10, 12, and now settled at 15. The labor unions have rejected the 15% offer as well.
We adjourned to today, thinking that today you make progress, but there has not been any progress today. Yes, when we are negotiating, whether you frown your face or you smile, the objective is for you to get what you want. When you smile, you can get it. When you frown your face, you can also get it. So we are smiling because we know you will ultimately get what you want. After we have tabled our proposal, and government also gave his proposal, we are still the same way it used to be there. But for now, we haven't reached deadlock. We expect that government will go and seek fresh mandate properly and come back and we meet. Labour doesn't read budgets. The budget is not for Labour. The budget is for the government. It's government who read the budget. Labour doesn't read budget. So whether it will be read or not, that one is not my concern.
Where government is vis-a-vis our 60% proposal is neither here nor there. And as we've said earlier on, the 60% we've actually come down from about 140% to the 60%. And even if the 60% is granted, if you take out the 40.4% inflation as it exists currently, it means we are asking for just about 19%, very minimal salaries. Over the years, we've compromised and compromised. There is no money is the song government sing all the time. And this time they are singing the same song, there is no money. And it is because every year they come and they say there is no money and then we give them the benefit of the doubt. That is what have landed us to where we are today. But we are telling them and assuring our members that they should remain resolute and that for this year's negotiation, we are not going to give in to any semantics, any gymnastics that the government will do.
What would you describe what government has already offered you? What would you describe it as?
It's nothing to write home about. It's a drop in the ocean. What government have offered is nothing. Nothing at all to write home about. The most important thing is that we are all Ghanaians and we must be paid decent salaries.
So you believe that government has money, even though they had IMF?
They have money. They have money. Oh, they have it.
But we are negotiating. We know what is in store.
They have money.
For the health sector, the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association says government's reluctance to heed to their demands will spell doom as it will accelerate the number of individuals within the sector leaving the country for greener pastures.
You heard right. Government tabled 15%. And we owe it to members out there to actually also let them know what is happening during these negotiations. Yes, government tabled 15%. At the moment, we still have our 60% on the table as a whole. So it is not just about the health sector or education sector, it's about all of us as workers of Ghana.
Do you think this is going to worsen the situation of brain drain, especially on the nurses that we've heard this year?
Of course, it will. Why do you think people are leaving Ghana for a greener pastures? They are leaving because one, salaries are not good, other conditions of service are not the best. So people take their bags and they are off to other countries.
Deputy Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, Bright Reku Brobe, says the meeting has now been adjourned until next week, when he hopes that together with the labor unions they can reach some consensus.
Now, deep-rooted beliefs, social exclusion, and a lack of support continue to affect the effective management of mental health conditions, especially in rural communities. The Executive Director of Mind Freedom Ghana, Dan Taylor, says though the situation was worsened during the COVID-19 pandemic, advocacy and the Assembly's support would help people to come to terms with the conditions and how to manage patients. He made the remarks at the inauguration of a pilot community support network project for persons with mental disabilities and their caregivers at Bichim in the Ahafo region. Precious Semevo has more.
Despite the Ghana mental health policy, persons with mental health conditions continue to receive less attention to aid their effective recovery. Aside from the lack of family support, mental health care centers in the Tano South Municipal in the Ahafo region lack the backing to help the over 1,300 persons with mental health conditions. Jonathan Aye is the Municipal Mental Health Coordinator.
There are challenges with funding and also drugs, psychotropic medications. You know, our patients are on special medications which they are supposed to take on a daily basis. So sometimes when they come to the facility and don't have these drugs available, is a problem. And aside that, means of transportation. We have to sometimes fund ourselves in order to go to the outreach point.
The situation of persons with mental health conditions was worse during the COVID-19 pandemic, as they lacked medications and were socially excluded. Because of this, Mind Freedom Ghana and the National Democratic Initiative of the United States have inaugurated a pilot community support network project for a year at Bichim with other stakeholders. Dan Taylor is the Executive Director of Mind Freedom Ghana.
The main objective is that these are organizations or groups that we're establishing to be able to, for persons with mental health conditions, to access support in terms of medication, in terms of other services within their jurisdiction. Many a time, people with mental health conditions are not considered as part of society in terms of what should be given to them. So the issue of social exclusion and discrimination is what is the major factor we are looking at. So that once the group is there, they are able to advocate, they are able to reach out for whatever is due them. That is what we are looking at.
I think it's a nice initiative which we are all looking forward to it being a success because there is ignorance within the community a lot. Most of the people see mental illness as something which is somehow spiritual. With the support network, we will be able to incorporate all these advocates and other agencies, relatives. Without the support from relatives and also people of influence within the community, it will be very hard for the clients to do what to recover. Okay. Medication alone can't do this.
Mr. Taylor, however, wants the district assemblies to honor their obligations to help care for mental health patients.
The Mental Health Law 2012 Act 846 has a section that enjoins all the MMDs to make budgetary allocations on a yearly basis, so that persons with mental health conditions, those are the worst cases that you see on the streets, they are taken for treatment. The mental health authority would liaise with the police and the social welfare, and they will take these persons for treatment at the hospitals, and then they are rehabilitated. They are taken back to their communities, but the MMDs are not doing this.
Precious Semevo, JoyNews, Bichim.
Now on to our next story, and over 24 young Ghanaian entrepreneurs have been equipped with ideational and business development skills through the Startup Weekend Bootcamp by Recycle Up Ghana. Participants were enlightened on problems, identifications, and the essentials of problem solving. The aspiring entrepreneurs, including students, were supported to develop business ideas rooted in sustainable mitigation of societal problems.
The Startup Weekend initiative strives to help young Ghanaian entrepreneurs undergo training to develop eco-friendly solutions to societal challenges. The program encourages beneficiaries to tackle matters such as climate adaptation, waste management, plastic waste, and youth unemployment. The aspiring youth of young entrepreneurs were mentored by experienced industry players in the business sector. Executive Director for Recycle Up Ghana, Abdul Rahim Shaibu Issa, indicated the 6-month incubation program for participants would prompt a deeper feasibility analysis of the business ideas of the participants.
So what we are doing is to have young people come up with ideas that can tackle the environmental problems, but then also our businesses to create employment and tackle the unemployment situation. The participants are selected to go through a 6-month 6-month incubation program after the startup weekend where they develop their ideas. In the 6-month incubation program, they do a long phase of business development, actually getting to really dig deeper and develop the business idea that they created. We also provide them with some support to actually prototype their ideas and then test it on the market. If it's feasible and if it's viable, then we also support them secure investment to actually run those businesses.
Hub manager for Recycle Up Ghana, Ivy Abu-Baidoo, says the prior training for the boot camp is a build-up to a business pitch competition.
Startups were taken through the ideation process, that is to identify the root cause of their problems that they want to solve in the society. They were helped to build up their own business ideas, and then they ended up with a pitch competition.
The business idea pitching session saw the 24 aspiring entrepreneurs present their developed business ideas. Student beneficiary Lawson Adobokomla aspires to develop biofuel from rice husks for electricity generation companies and local businesses. He says the startup weekend and business pitch competition will be crucial in achieving his goals.
So me being successfully executing my aspiration has a lot to tell, where I get to be sponsored to engage in further research, especially in developing new ideas such as the production of silica. Winning also helps in getting an easy bridge to grants, loans, sponsorship, investments, where there is also going to be an equity at hand.
Founder of Everything Rice, Kukua Kellen Yabua, says winning the business idea pitch will enable her to acquire the machinery necessary for her business development.
I have done product testing on the market. People are willing to buy, but then I lack the machineries. I am here to ask for funds so that I'll be able to get the machines required for the product.
The winner, first and second runner-ups of the pitching session were recruited into the 6-month business incubator program to be organized by the organization. Clinton Yabua's report read to you.
And that's how we cap off the news this morning. Up next, we serve you the news review. Do stay with us. We'll be right back. And it's all about the Black Stars. You can see us rocking our jerseys. Yes, you'll see Mapito CBD shortly. But time now for the news review. And we'll be joined shortly by Samuel Bing of the Parliamentary Network Africa. In fact, I can see him right now. But before I go to Samuel Bing, Mapito, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Benjamin. How are you doing?
We're in the spirit today. We're in the Ghanaian spirit.
Yeah, and we're very excited. We are hopeful. It's going to be a very interesting day today. The budgets, the Black Stars. Yeah.
A bird whispered to me that some people in some quarters intentionally suggested that the budget should be on this day so that the Black Stars thing would drown
the
budget statement a bit. You know, usually when the budget statement is put forth, all the attention is on that. Pretty smart move, but budget's in India. Whether the Black Stars play, they don't play, they win, they don't win, they draw, Charlie. We'll have to get into that because pocket la hot. What is it?
Yeah,
pocket la hot.
Pocket la very hot. Christmas is around the corner.
You can't even smell Christmas.
You can't even smell Christmas. It's so like there's no Christmas spirit.
But there's absolutely nothing.
No, but I also think after COVID, right, after 2020. The Christmas and the festive season really died out, honestly. Yeah, I also don't want to put like too much pressure on.
I mean, it's not been so, but I know people would often, be nostalgic about the previous year and say this and that, but trust me, this year
things are very hard.
I am pumping.
God, Dave, me, I'm a child of God.
Oh, God, Dave, God.
So
who is a child of wine? We are children.
I said I'm a child of God. God is my father. Me, in fact, you know what? I'm God's favorite daughter. So He will not let me suffer in this hot country. Thank you very much for the words so sweet.
Anyway, let me also welcome aboard Samuel Bing. A very good morning to you, Mr. Bing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Anyway,
good morning.
So before we get into the paper, since we've started off on that trajectory, what would be your expectations as the Black Stars lock horns with the Portuguese today? And maybe your quick thoughts on, I'll reserve the budget for later. The Black Stars, let's do that for now.
Well, as a Ghanaian true and true, I would only wish that we are able to come through victorious. There's been a few upsets at the World Cup, but of course, there's also been many instances of countries who everybody expected to winning emphatically.
Right.
So we know the stature of the Portuguese team. We know how somewhat wobbly our preparation and our team have been over the past, months or years. We know that we are the underdogs of this competition, the lowest ranked, country in the World Cup. But we can only keep the flag of Ghana high and be optimistic that, we'll be able to get a good results.
All right, so let's get into the papers. Let's start with the Ghanaian Times. And the big story, obviously, is the budget and nation hopeful of 2023 budget as Finance Minister presents a statement to Parliament today. We also have the Ashanti Regional Police Command probes alleged killing of nursing mother by military personnel. And WAEC begins probe into 2022 WASI suspected malpractices. And that big one, Ghana in crunch game against Portugal on page 32. But let's go to page 4, where the nation is hopeful of 2023 budget. The Finance Minister, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, today presented the 2023 budget in Parliament, which has perhaps put majority of Ghanaians on edge for so many reasons, from the current economic hardship leading to high cost of living to the demand from both majority and minority caucuses for the Finance Minister to step down because of the economic downturn. Most Ghanaians are eager to hear what the Finance Minister has to offer. So all eyes will therefore be gazing at the Minister as he presents one of the most expected budgets since the beginning of the country's fourth republic. All right, let's also... Okay, so this one is from Minority Leader, who says his disappointment comes on the heels of a U-turn by the majority to support Mr. Ofori-Atta to present the 2023 budget statement and economic policy of government. We do know that both majority and minority were meant to boycott that if the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, was the one to present it. But majority has sharpened a U-turn.
Mother Party has found a way of, I don't want to say coercing, but whipping their members of Parliament in line. It still awaits to be seen, really, what will happen in Parliament today. And I also don't know what the stance of the minority, is in terms of whether they will even show on the floor of Parliament. So that's going to be some interesting dimension. But whichever way it is, there is quite an aversion to the Finance Minister staying at post even now. You recall yesterday when I had a conversation with Dr. Mark Esibe-Yeboah.
Yeah.
He had his own. He didn't want to wade too much into that. But interestingly, he said if he were called upon to serve as Finance Minister, he would accept.
He would accept. Yeah. Well, let's get Mr. Obing's thoughts on this, the budget, majority's U-turn, and what you are expecting to hear today.
Well, the majority's U-turn is not quite surprising, except that it is disappointing. And of course, when they first announced, these majority members of Parliament first announced that they, were going to go all out in playing their oversight function and their representational function in ensuring that they are representing the very people who brought them to Parliament, who have expressed, worry about the state of the economy. We give them thumbs up for that individual-minded, thinking that they had brought on board. Of course, party has been able to whip them in line. I think that that provides some level of clarity also on how today is going to pan out. We're going to have a day where the minister will come to Parliament, we'll have the majority people cheering him up, we'll have the minority people, wielding placards, perhaps booing him. Of course, as part of the gimmicks that goes on in Parliament. In the end, the budget will be read. Of course, we expect that have a quorum for the budget to be read. But for me,
just an interjection. Yesterday, in interacting with Dr. Make Sibe-Yeboah, he disputed the bit about a quorum. He says there's no quorum required for the presentation of the budget in Parliament. That's what he said.
Well, he's right, technically speaking, because the presentation is just a statement being made by the minister. What it means is that at the beginning of the sitting, when the House has been able to form, the minister can come in at any time and make that particular statement. But there will be discussions afterwards. There will be motions that must be adopted afterward. There will be votes afterwards. So it will be at that stage that some of those quorum will be required. But well, let's see how it goes. We look forward to a very exciting day in Parliament. The most important thing is that the people of Ghana must be thought about, and members of Parliament must know that their actions and inactions will send a lot of communication signals to the people of Ghana as to whether they are taking this whole economic situation we find ourselves in seriously or not.
All right, let's also go to page 15, where WAYAC begins probe into the 2022 WASE suspected malpractices. Let's get a quick look at that. So now the West African Examination Council has urged school authorities and candidates who have been invited to its offices to assist with investigations into suspected cases of malpractices. The council said it has commenced investigations into this year's West African Senior Certificate Examinations irregularities detected during and after the examination, and would require a cooperation of both school authorities and students to ensure prompt investigations and resolution of the cases. We also have the Ashanti Regional Command probes alleged killing of nursing mother by military personnel. Let's take a quick look at that story on page 3. They have begun investigations to the killing of a nursing mother allegedly by some military personnel. The deceased Felicia Donko sustained gunshot wounds after being hit by a stray bullet. Assistant Commissioner of Police Kwesi Ano, Deputy Ashanti Regional Police Commander, on Monday visited the crime scene and also visited the deceased family. A police source at the regional command, which is close there, these to the Ghanaian Times, said investigations into the incident had started. Now, they say that it was gathered, so the incident took place on Saturday during a funeral of one Kwesi Nkrumah, also known as Simon, who died after falling into a mining pit some 3 months ago. Simon was said to have been chased by some security personnel protecting some mining companies in the area. And the process, he said he was hit with a club and he fell into a mining pit. Now, during the funeral on Saturday, the youth in the town were said to have mounted a barrier in the middle of the road leading to the cemetery. Now, when the military got there, there was a misunderstanding between them and the youth, which saw the military firing warning shots and the nursing mother being killed. We also have Labour African fought in court over defilement. But these two stories, WAYAC begins probe into the 2022 WASE suspected malpractices, and Ashanti Regional Police Command probes alleged killing of nursing mother by military personnel. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, perhaps I start with the killing of the nursing mother. It's very unfortunate story. I really do not understand why our officers who are allowed to, use guns are increasingly becoming trigger happy. I mean, from the story that was read, people are rioting. Yes, we know that riot control, there is a way of doing it. One too many times we come back to discuss how wielding guns, deciding to shoot becomes almost like the first point of call for these security officials who wield guns. And then innocent people end up dying. This is a nursing mother, for crying out loud. And very typical of how we handle matters here. These matters will come into the papers, they'll be discussed in the media a day, 1 week, 2 weeks, and that's the end. We can think about the future of that little child or little children who this nursing mother, have to be taken care of, and the family that is being left behind. These things are really, really unfortunate. And, sometimes it makes it very difficult to live in a country like this where, you know, your fate, your life, your destiny sometimes, you know, is very much not protected because of some of these things going on. It's very, very unfortunate and worrying. The bit about WAEC, you know, one too many times we seem to have these exam malpractices, you know, going on. Of course, examination, especially in a country where we are extremely focused on who passes and who does not pass, and not necessarily about, you know, the quality, you know, that gets churned out. We have some of these things coming up, but I think that's why it is an institution that has been doing these things for quite a long time. And by this time, we should be having systems and procedures in place to be able to stem out some of these situations. We cannot continue to go on like this, you know.
All right, Benjamin, what do you have in the Daily Graphic?
Well, quite a number of stories. The Daily Graphic talks about profiling Central Tong tomorrow, but other major stories in there. The activation of SIM cards, court throws out case against NCA. I'll bring you some details of that. Open herbal unit in every government hospital. That's according to Professor Samuel Ato Duncan. He is telling the health ministry that Otto to make life difficult for Portugal. And that is the promise, basically. At least we have some good things to look forward to. We've seen Saudi Arabia down Argentina, shockingly, by 2-1. And the referee with some antics in there, but I was happy when Saudi Arabia won. We've also seen Japan take on Germany and beat them by 2-1. Yesterday, Canada played everything, but simply couldn't get past Belgium, the team that beat them by 1-0. So the signs are there. Can the Black Stars do it? That's what we'll be looking at. Scrap Council of State, Kufuor advocates a second chamber. So let's look at those three stories very quickly and maybe add the sports one, and I'll let you come in, Sammy. So let's start with page, let's start with the main story. Former President John Agyekum Kufuor has advocated the composition of an upper house of parliament to replace the Council of State as part of constitutional reforms to promote good governance and development in the country. He said given the current stage of the country's development and the fact that it had committed itself to democratic governance, the Council of State at the moment is not fit for purpose. That's his quote. Again, he says, I have gone through the 1969, 1979, and the 1992 constitutional periods, and I have come to the conclusion that perhaps what our constitution should have to be able to tamper with the extremes of democracy is not a council of state, but a well-composed second chamber. I think temper with that is the point. And that's what he's been pointing out. So that's the first story. Let's go now to page 16 and get some further thoughts from there. Court throws out case against NCA, and the Accra High Court has dismissed the case which sought to stop the National Communications Authority from deactivating the mobile phone numbers of people who have failed to register their SIM cards with the Ghana card. In its judgment, the court, presided over by Justice Charles Abu-Baidoo, held that the NCA had acted legally and in accordance with the laws that governed its operations. Quote, I am of the firm belief, the justice said, that the applicants have not demonstrated to the satisfaction of this court that in pursuing its objects, the second respondent, that is the NCA, exceeded its powers. And that was the ruling of the court. Let me just add the one on page 20 before we talk football, Samuel Bing. So I'd have you react to these three stories for starters. Now, the president of the Ghana Federation of Traditional Medicine Practitioners Associations, Professor Samuel Ato Duncan, has appealed to the health ministry and, for that matter, the government to increase the number of herbal units in health facilities from the current 55 to cover all government hospitals. Increasing the number, he said, would lead to the expansion of health coverage in the country. What do you make of these three? So, herbal units in every government hospital, according to Professor Ato Duncan, scrap the Council of State, according to former President Kufuor, and the NCA getting through that legal scrape in court. Quick reactions?
Well, President Kufuor has served as president of this country for 8 years. He was in the highest office. You know, he had to work with the Council of States, you know, and he certainly knows, you know, the pros and cons of having a Council of State. This is quite a profound statement to have been made by him. Yes, there are many of us who believe that the Council of State, as it currently is, and as we have seen its function, and with all the the issues we find with it, does not seem to be fit for purpose. The thing about having a second chamber, though, and I speak about this because with my work at Parliamentary Network Africa as a parliamentary development person and having researched a lot into parliament, is also a very interesting conversation to have. It has its own pros and cons. For a country like us, like ours, which has traditions, customs, history. Many countries have usually used their second chamber as a way to get views and opinions of people that form part of these traditions and customs, chiefs, opinion leaders, and what have you, congregating at that particular level to be able to provide some form of oversight, so to speak, on the first chamber of parliament whenever it passes laws or makes major decisions, but also to serve as a place that brings the entire country together, not through Western culture, but in a way that is uniquely Ghanaian. So yes, that's a consideration. That's a suggestion worth considering, and I think that it goes to the heart of the need for a holistic constitutional review, for the country. I really do not know why our leaders are pussyfooting so far as this constitutional review thing is concerned, because we all know that our 1992 constitution has gotten to that particular point where a lot of the things are not really fit for purpose.
Right.
On the bit about herbal medicine in public institutions, sometimes it beats my imagination to wonder why a country that has traditional medicine, herbal medicine as a source of healing, for many of our health situation, is not promoting that aspect of our healthcare, and we usually resort to other forms of medicines, other forms of healthcare to be able to deal with ourselves. I think that it's a call in the right direction. We do not know whether the powers that be would listen, and we do not know what the stumbling block is so far as some of these things are concerned. But I personally believe it's a call in the right direction, of course, putting out the caveat that I am not a health person, and so maybe I may not be able to understand these dynamics as much as they would.
Well, the point would be that herbal medicine, in fact, most of these other drugs that we have in the system are based on these plants, and of course there are synthetic elements added. So what are we making of them? That is the question. There's also the court throwing out the case against the NCA. That is, if you want to touch on that. But to wrap with sports, Coach Otto says it's going to be a tough match for Portugal, and it's not going to be easy to beat us, Mapito. It's going to be a tough match for Portugal, and it's not going to be easy to beat us.
Is this
that's what Otto says.
Ronaldo's Portugal.
Ronaldo's Portugal. They played Nigeria in the last friendly, and they beat Nigeria by 4-0. Leao, Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, Rafael Leao, and João Cancelo, all of them playing and beating the Nigerians. And Ronaldo didn't play. He had a stomach upset. Yeah. And he didn't play. But I just get the feeling that today we're going to create an upset. I feel we could win this game. At worst, we would lose. Because guess what? There's that element of surprise. You've not really played. You're coming with your big stars and everything. And before, if you go one goal down to Ghana, and if the boys play the way that Otto is telling them to, don't give these people too much respect. I feel that is what happened with Senegal, facing off with the Netherlands. Too much respect. You are the African champions, for crying out loud.
So do your
just go for it. Yeah. Just go for it. And the African sides that have played so far, Morocco has had a draw, Tunisia has had a draw, Cameroon plays today, and Senegal, unfortunate, because they really played against the Netherlands. So we can only wish the Black Stars the very best.
Well, interesting. Ronaldo's Portugal.
Ronaldo's Portugal. I would root for Ronaldo anywhere he plays, especially for Manchester United. Unfortunately, now he's fallen out. Yeah. But in this instance, Ghana all the way. Ghana all the way.
Okay, we hope Ghana won't break your heart.
We won't.
Okay.
We won't.
Okay. I hope so.
We don't dare do so.
But quickly, Business Finder, the AFDB, okays $27.9 million grant for Ghana to grow more maize, rice, soybeans, and support poultry value chain. We also have exports and tourism critical to shoring up the CD and not external borrowings. Let's get into that story quickly. Ghana cannot continue to use its external borrowings in US dollars to shore up the CD. Rather, the country must be intentional about boosting exports, enhance tourism, and make it attractive for people to want to come to Ghana to spend their dollars to improve our dollar liquidity. Investment advisor, that is Mr. Michael Kobler, who has said that. According to him, the same billions we borrow internationally can be brought into the country by tourists if we create a destination experience for them, even on a quarterly basis. Mr. Kobler joined calls for a review of the e-levy and suggested more revenue measures for government's consideration, scrap or reduce the e-levy significantly, and empower metropolitan assemblies to revalue all properties using a base index as a policy, initially to raise revenue through the active supervision of the Ghana Revenue Authority. He also feels that we should re-evaluate government flagship projects. He says, he's advising that if planting for food and jobs was really working, we should not be importing tomatoes and onions after 6 years of implementation. We should be net exporters of agriculture. The other one is reviewing the free SHS policy. And the last one, which a lot of people have been talking about, is cut government size. He says we must reduce the size of government dramatically.
I don't suspect that is going to happen.
Yeah,
I don't get the feeling that is going to happen.
Well,
sadly, I don't get the feeling that is going to happen. I mean, sometimes you look at other jurisdictions and the numbers there, far bigger countries, and the number of people managing them. Some may say, maybe their systems have developed a bit more. You have to get there too. What have we been doing in the Fourth Republic?
Yeah.
And with this gargantuan government? You see, I always go back to the point when President Akakpo had just taken off and appointed all these people, one of the highest numbers on the continent and all of that. And the talk was, I am a man in a hurry. I have a lot to do. And so I'm going to push these people in and they're going to do the work. But 6 years down the line,
we're here. Mr. Bing,
have the numbers added up?
Cutting government size, reviewing free SHS policy, re-evaluates government flagship programs, and the last one, scrapping or reducing the e-levy significantly.
Well, Ben, it's not just about your feeling when it comes to the fact that the size of government is not going to be scrapped. It's also about the fact that the one who leads government has actually signaled same. He's not really interested in reducing the size of his government, and sometimes it makes it very, very worrying to realize that sharp economic brains like Michael Kobler that you quoted in that news article, and many others, make so many suggestions, share so many thoughts, think tanks, civil society. And these are the things that you need, especially around this time when our country is in a turmoil, yet nobody seems to listen, and sometimes we stick to our guns. Government sticks to its guns for so long until things get out of hand, then we get to bear the brunt of some of these decisions. I think that Michael Kobler is certainly one of those, sharp brains that we have here in our country, so far as investment banking, so far as issues of this nature is concerned, and certainly, these comments, these suggestions of his cannot be taken in jest. I do not know the forum at which he made these suggestions, but certainly I'm sure that these were platforms that had people who could listen and act on some of these things in them, and we look forward to them acting. But let me touch quickly on the Otoado bit. I was listening to the quote that has been attributed to him, and could it mean, Mapito and Benjamin, could it mean also that to say that it would not be easy to beat Ghana mean that Ghana will be beaten, but it wouldn't be easy? Like the
well, I'm saying it will be difficult to play Portugal, but it will not be easy to beat Ghana.
Yes,
in other words, he's saying that you are a difficult side, but we are not going to be an easy side for you either.
Well, because I mean, some could read the meaning into it as saying, okay, it's going to be a Senegal situation. Yes, we'll play very well, get to the 80th minute. You know, it wouldn't be easy for you, but then in the dying embers, you know, then you'll be able to beat us. So you know that you beat us, but it wasn't easy. I really do not think that that is where we want to look at. And for me, I strongly feel that with the current showing by some of the African sides, with the general situation ongoing at the World Cup, and how some underdogs have proven, you know, worthy of their calling to the World Cup. I personally think that the day may end, you know, in a shared point situation for Ghana and Portugal. A draw for me will be my prediction.
All right, so that's all I have. Ben, do you have any?
Okay.
more?
I'll wrap with the Daily Guide newspaper. Mahama released Achimota forest land to Owu family. That story is on page 3. And embattled finance minister Ken Ofori-Atta is... okay, so that's actually a different story. This one, Deputy Minister of Lands and Natural Resources Benito Wusubio has revealed that ex-President John Dramani Mahama gave an executive approval for the release of the Achimota forest land to the Owu family, the pre-acquisition owners of the forest reserve. According to him, this followed a recommendation by a committee set up by former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Inusa Fuseni, that reviewed the recommendations of the Afaridate committee constituted by the late President John Atta Mills. So it appears this situation is not going anywhere, but topical for me, the blame game and how we love to play it in this country. That story is there. There's also Ofori-Atta presents 2023 budget as MPs freeze a sack campaign. There's also Opuni's referral motion adjourned to December the 1st. But let me wrap with some interesting stories. I'll go back to that recent interaction by the IEA on the back of the 1992 Constitution with former President Kufuor and former Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honorable Professor Mike Oquaye. So, share mineral royalties fairly. That's according to former President Kufuor, who says the devastating impact of illegal mining, popularly known as galamsey, in various parts of the country in recent times could be tackled by government if indigenous people in their respective communities were made to have a fair share of mineral royalties. There's also this one, stop fighting each other. Rocky Dawuni to Ghanaian artists. Quick reactions to these stories. So there's the first one. Mahama released Achimota forest land to Owu family. There's share mineral royalties fairly, according to former President Kufuor. And stop fighting each other. Rocky Dawuni to Ghanaian artist. Let me just sneak in. Ghana Kids Fashion Festival in December. That is slated for December. Some lovely photos here in the middle spread of the paper of children catwalking. Quick thoughts?
Yeah, the blame game, certainly, negotiating, always. I mean, sometimes you wonder why our leaders do this to us. You know, somebody is underperforming. Somebody is not doing what the people want him to do as a leader of the country. The people push that person out. The people bring you in to solve the problems of the country. 6 years down the line, many years down the line, we keep referring to that somebody and what that somebody did then that caused us to push him out as the reasons for all of our woes. We can't be living like this. And for me, whenever I hear things like this, it goes to confirm the fact that, you know, I mean, whenever a leader says things like this, it is only a confirmation or an acceptance on the part of that leader that I am also not fit for purpose, because the things that you brought me to solve, I am unable to solve, and I'll always blame my predecessor for what he did wrong, for which, you know, you pushed him out. These things must stop. It's becoming one too many. Apart from that, the bit about President Kufuor and the sharing of mineral resources fairly. You know, we know that in countries and in places where, you know, they are blessed with natural resources, gold, whatever mineral resource they have, even oil and what have you, statistics, history, experiences have shown that it becomes a curse to them because there is usually not a way that makes everybody feel a part of it. So some few people, you know, get to benefit and enjoy from it, and the masses do not get to benefit and enjoy from it. And this is the genesis of, you know, having a real situation, real, you know, terrible situation arising in such places and countries because people feel left behind. So
Right.
yes, certainly a call in the right direction. President Kufuor is a statesman. I keep referring to the fact that he's led the country for 8 years. From where he sits, it's the case of a proverbial grandfather or grandmother who is sitting on the ground, and some of the things he will see, climbing the tall Iroko tree will not make you, see all of those. But for me, I think that some of these things from our very senior countrymen, statesmen like President Kufuor and co. Should be brought to the bear and should be advised that it's going directly to the people that take major decisions in our country, so they will act upon them, because having this in the news, having this, as mere suggestions really does not change much. Having it embedded in the change situation we want to see is really where we are all aspiring to.
Thank you so much, Sami, for joining us this morning. Mapito, have you seen the video with the Vice President, showing off some skills?
But we did it yesterday, and you said you don't want to comment on it.
I didn't want to. Sami Obeng, have you seen the video?
Yes, I have.
Okay. All right.
Every male in Ghana knows how to play football and knows how to milo. So it's not surprising that the Vice President...
Thank you, Sami Obeng, for joining the conversation. That's our Vice President doing his thing there. And look out for it. It's coming. It's coming.
Bao Messi. Bao Messi. All right, thank you so much.
Sami, were you saying something?
Oh, no. Just to say that, it's unfortunate that, the playing of the football had, dwarfed the message that he actually had to put across. The picture had dwarfed the message. I think that the message was also very, very, very important. And the Vice President wanted to exhibit the message with some, action. Rather, we are seeing too many Photoshop designs here and there on meetings and what have you. I think we should focus on the message, really. The Vice President, like any male Ghanaian, was exhibiting his football skills, which is very usual.
So was it Bawu Message or Bawu Messi? Which one? Anyway. We'll find out. Sami Obeng, thank you so much. He is with the Parliamentary Network Africa. Mapito, have you had a drink this morning?
Have I had a drink? I did. I had water, because water is life. It regulates your body temperature and keeps you alive and kicking. Awake is premium purified water treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. We have the perfect sizes for all occasions: 330 ml and 500 ml bottles to fit your pockets and bags. We also have 750 ml for the heavy drinkers and 1.5 liters for those who always want more. We've also introduced our special 19-liter jar for offices and homes. Now, you just need to stay awake with Awake Purified Drinking Water wherever you go. Come on. Grab a bottle of Awake water and get quality hydration. Awake Purified Drinking Water, one for life. Remember, for every bottle you purchase, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center, and it's produced by Casapreco. For bulk purchase, you can please call 026-235-1251. This advert is FDA approved.
And right before we get into sports, buy 3 months or 12 months of HD Plus subscription on your HD Plus decoder this football season and dial *844*8# to enter the HD or Recordo Double promo. There are 1,700 rewards to be won, including trips for 3 couples to Dubai in December, 65-inch TVs, household appliances, and more. This promo is valid from now till the 5th of December 2022, and the most loved and exciting kids cooking show, of course, on Joy Prime, Big Chef, is finally coming to an end as we journey to the finale. Contestants have displayed their exceptional culinary skills in the last 11 weeks of the competition. We started with 14, and now we are down to the big 6. Adjoa, Amma, Eudalia, Aram, Prince, and Laura. So you can vote for your favorite by dialing *711*60# and follow the prompt. Who wins Big Chef Season 2? Remember, your vote makes 40%. So vote as many times as you can and catch the grand finale of Big Chef on Sunday, 4th December 2022 at 5 p.m. on Joy Prime. Big Chef is kindly brought to you by Fortune Rice, Fried Oil, Sunflower Oil, Indomie, Top Choco, Floratis use Low Price Master, Sankofa Natural Spices, City Black Tonic, and Perk Biscuits.
All right, that's it for the newspaper review. Up next is sports with Abigail Sena. So stay tuned.
Certainly one of the days Ghanaians have been fantasizing and dreaming about. Hopefully, we'll get to rejoice and be glad in it after 6 p.m. because the Black Stars take center stage today as the turn of the Stars in Group H, where they get to play that all-important opener against Portugal. Well, it's time for AM Sports. My name is Abigail Sena. So we go straight to the camp of the Black Stars because yesterday, Coach Otuado and his captain, Andre, got a time with the presser to tell us what they are really preparing and doing ahead of that game. And our coach says that their priority is heading into this Group H opener at the 2022 World Cup, and that is to beat Portugal. Notes that Ghana is ranked the lowest country at the global showpiece, and Ghana will begin their journey against Portugal at the Stadium 974. Despite not being regarded as the top 2 favorites in the group on paper, Otuado says that the target for the team is to advance into the knockout stage, while adding that winning against Portugal is the main objective.
Jumbo, I would say, surely we want to survive the group stage, and but I think we go well by going game after game, and so our full focus is on the Portuguese game, and if we don't look too far, if we concentrate on the next game, I think we can reach something. But yeah, like I said, we have to survive the group stage, and then from there, nobody knows. Depends on who you get or whatsoever, also how you play, and it's very, very difficult to predict. So we have one aim, and this is to win against Portugal, which will be very, very difficult. And then after this, we look for the next step. Yeah, surely we have a plan. We have our last training today. And then we will have it like 100%. And obviously, I can't speak about what we want to do. From what I see, the boys are doing the training. It's going to be a tough match, also for Portugal. It's not easy. Won't be easy to beat us. And that's all I can say. I don't know who's going to play, but I think maybe Cristiano will play, and also Bernardo Silva. They're really, really good players, but we also have a good defense. So it's going to be difficult, but nothing is impossible.
So we're in a high spirit, hoping that the Black Stars can translate everything Coach Otuado have said onto the field when it's time, when they march out of that dugout to play against Portugal. But my colleague Muftar Nabila Abdullahi is in Doha, Qatar, and standing by to tell us the mood in camp, in and around the stadium, waiting for the Stars to have their turn at this tournament. Muftar, if you can hear me, good morning.
Good morning, Abigail. Thanks for having me.
It's good to see you, and with all these smiles that you are beaming with, tell us what is happening in Doha, Qatar. Some good news, I'm sure.
Well, everything has been pretty positive. The Black Stars had their final training session yesterday, and that press conference gone by, I was there, and I also had an opportunity of interacting with Otuado and Andrew even after the press conference. And one thing I can say with certainty is that Otuado is very convinced about his ideas, how he's going to approach this game. Andrew, I remember speaking to him, and I reminded him of the 2014 World Cup, where Ghana lost 2-1 to Portugal. And he said, this is a different team, and that nothing is impossible. In fact, he started the example of Saudi Arabia beating Argentina. that who would have thought that Saudi Arabia would be the team to end Argentina's 36-game unbeaten run. I also had a conversation with the communication director of the Ghana Football Association, Harry Asentutum. He brought the two of them to the press conference. And, he's more privileged to get access to the team closer. And what he was telling me was that Ghanaians should be ready and they should expect the Black Stars to put up the best of performances. They believe that the game against Portugal is going to be a very difficult one, but nothing is impossible. Otto said it, nothing is impossible. Andrea, you also said it, nothing is impossible. So if nothing is impossible, we'll be going to that very stadium, expecting the Black Stars to rise to the occasion. This is the fourth time the senior national team will be participating in this Mundial. And if there is a moment that everyone would want to be associated with, that moment is now. And that contest against Portugal is one. It might not be the defining moment of the Black Stars in terms of their ability or how to do well in this tournament, but it could be a moment that could either catapult them to fight and qualify to the next stage of the competition or dampen their spirit. But based on what I've witnessed so far, it's been quite positive, and the Black Stars could just be on their way to pulling out wonders against Portugal.
At home, we are seriously counting down. Is about some 8 hours to the game here. I don't know what the itinerary looks like this morning. Is everybody in their rooms locked up somewhere? Have you seen the team? What are they up to this morning, especially?
At this point, security surrounding the team is quite compact, so it's difficult for you to get access to the team. But one thing I can say with certainty is that they are supposed to have their breakfast. It's about 10:32 here, so I'm sure by now they've had a breakfast. So their final team meeting will happen before they will proceed to the stadium. Kickoff here is at 7 p.m. Qatar time. That will be like 4 p.m. Ghana time. Yeah. So yeah, they'll be having their breakfast. I can't tell with certainty where they've had it because security did not grant us access to the team. But what I can say is that after the breakfast, the players will go back to their rooms, take a good rest, and then they'll come up and head to the stadium for that big kickoff tonight.
I don't know if you were preview to their last training session yesterday, and with Coach Otuado so uptight with his tactics and starting lineup and all of that. Did you see any glimpses of the starting 11, the possible lads that could walk out of that dugout for Ghana?
There's one wild card that I saw, and that wild card is a possibility of Daniel Afuye, but I have witnessed so far.
Mufsal, you would have to take that again. We didn't hear your wild card.
Apologies. A call was coming through. What I said is that based on what I have witnessed, there's a possibility of a wild card. And that wild card could be Daniel Afuye starting. But based on what I have seen so far, I can report that Atizigi is definitely the first choice. Tariq Lamptey is likely to start ahead of Dennis Odoi. The left back will be occupied by Baorama. And the center pairing is going to be quite dicey. Because I noticed that Mohamed Salisu and Jiku made a swap. I know usually in the final training sessions, coaches do not want you to have a perfect picture of what they are likely to do. Yeah. But I noticed that if you take a look at those who were in bips and those who were not, it's much easier to guess who's going to start. But there was a swap between Alexander Jiku and Daniel Amate. And then Mohamed Salisu. That's why I'm thinking there's a possibility that either Jiku or Salisu would start in this game. But in the midfield, that was quite certain. It's going to be a Thomas Partey, a Mohamed Kudus, and Kofi Chiremitsor. If what I witnessed yesterday is anything to go by, Jordan Ayew is like... Apologies once again. Jordan Ayew is likely to be on the left flank. Inaki Williams is likely to lead the attacking line of the Black Stars. And Andre Ayew is going to be the number 10 for this lineup against Portugal tonight.
Okay, based on your lineup and what you have seen, so who will be that one to sit aside for our wild card, the wild card that we all wish to see, Afuye Banier to be pushed in there?
It was quite interesting because if you take a look at the players who were used on the right flank, it was Afriye Bania who was on there. Fatal Isaku was not there. Kamaldeen Sulemana was not there. Osman Bukari was not there. That is why I'm thinking there's a possibility that he could be that wild card. Because most coaches, like I mentioned earlier, there's a possibility that he wouldn't allow us to have a perfect picture as to who is going to start or who would not start.
Yeah.
But if there's going to be a wild card that could possibly start against Portugal, that wild card could be Daniel Afriye Bania. But there's also a possibility that he just used him there as a dummy and would replace him with a different player when it comes to the game itself tonight.
Okay, for us back at home and for us lovers of the local league, it would be good to see Bania in there again. But in all totality, we wish the team the very best. But what is the atmosphere like?
As a fan of the Ghana Premier League, you probably would be so excited about this one, isn't it?
I would have been the happiest if it happens that way, to see Daniel Afriye Bania, or maybe the lad have a taste at that world stage with the best in the game at the moment. You know, it gives them that morale that we want them to build up for the future. And so we can only keep our fingers crossed. And if there should be wildcards, we hope that it will be the lad and Afriye Bania being pushed in there.
Hopefully he will be pushed in there. And hopefully he will be given the confidence to go out and do his best. It's going to be a big night, a big night, a night for Ghana football, a night for African football, because the Black Stars are back to the state where they belong.
But are there fans with you?
I just heard someone tell me that Portugal will suffer a 3-0 defeat. Hopefully, that is scoreline we can anticipate. If
there are some Ghanaians around you, maybe you can briefly interact with them, because today is for the Black Stars, and so we have the luxury of time
There are many Ghanaians around me. There are many Ghanaians around me who are all looking to get an opportunity of going into the stadium. So if you could just hang on a moment for me. I was here with Maxwell Asabri.
I will.
Not too long ago, and he's still around.
Okay.
Zibula, please come. Zibula, please come here. Come this way. I just have Zibula here. He's with Metro TV.
Okay.
Zibula, what do you expect to see tonight against Portugal?
Okay, today against Portugal, we all know the Portuguese is a very difficult game. Of course, we are expecting a very difficult game from the Portuguese side. So far, we've had one huge surprise in the tournament so far. Saudi beating Argentina, and Portugal will be wary of that will also happen against them.
So Japan also beating Germany.
Yes, and Japan also beating Germany. So they'll be wary of that, and they'll be coming very prepared and not complacent at all. So we will need to get our acts right today, and also hope for a little bit of luck on our side to be able to pass, to be able to get a very good result today. So we are hoping for the best today.
Hoping for a bet. That is from Zibula. Would you mind to say something on the Ghana Portugal game? Welcome to JoyNews.
Thank you.
What do you expect to see tonight against
Portugal? People are saying that we're going to shock the world, but I mean, we have a young generation of players that are just going to go and be themselves, like we saw in the friendly that with Switzerland. So I'm expecting nothing but the best. Saudi was the shocker. Japan did their best, and so the Black Stars are also going to go and camp. So the world should just watch out, because the Black Stars have come with so much energy and with a storm that's going to blow Qatar away. So tonight's game, I'm predicting a 3-0 win. I'm going to say 1, but no. What didn't they do to Messi? What can we do to see Ronaldo? So 3-0.
3-0, she says, and Black Stars is here with a storm, and that storm is going to blow away the world. You want to see the Black Stars tonight. What do you expect to see? What kind of performance do you want to witness from the national team?
Muftao, I keep on telling my colleagues that it's the same people who play in Europe. Yes. We have Pate, we have Kudus. They are playing regularly in the Champions League. So this is not a match for us. I have so much confidence in the team that when it comes to big stage, they will deliver. And I keep on saying that today, if we are going to win, we are going to win by a goal to 0. And Kudus or Pate will give us the win tonight.
Kudus or Pate is going to give us the win. Abigail, I don't know if you have the patience for me to still get to reach out to more people. I'm going to speak to my gentleman here. Welcome to JoyNews, Abdallah. A quick one. We are going to see the Black Stars tonight. Tell us, how ready are we? What have you seen?
We are very, very ready. We are very, very ready. So I think 2-0 is okay.
2-0 is okay
for the meantime. 2-0 is okay.
Abigail, you've had three separate defense.
2-0 is okay. So we
2-0 is enough.
Yeah,
what about you? What about you? Some journeys? 2-1. 2-1. The drama has been 2-1. Argentina 1, Saudi 2, Japan 2, Germany 2. Abigail, I'm getting some more supporters here who are all here wanting to see the Black Stars. Then let's speak to David. Welcome to JoyNews. Tonight, Ghana versus Portugal. What do you want to see?
I want to see the guys we have to do that. And it is true. Yes.
At the end of the day, speaking can be our please talk to me. Yes. Welcome to JoyNews. Tonight, you are here to throw your weight behind the Black Stars. Tell us, why did you travel all the way from Ghana to Qatar?
Well, this time what I see about the team, I think we have individual players, we have the players. So we are playing with the coach to select the right thing. If the right thing is done, I think Ghana will go far.
The right thing is yes. But let's look at tonight's game. Tonight against Portugal. Cristiano Ronaldo, Joao Moutinho, Cancelo, Joao Felix, many players. Do we stand a chance?
We are winning this match. You know, there has been some surprises for this tournament. I hope you are following. Maybe, for example, we can talk of the Argentina with Saudi Arabia, Japan with Germany. So there's likelihood that Ghana can also beat Portugal. It's a matter of doing your things right. Someone says it's a favor that went for Saudi Arabia, which is not possible. Football is not about favor. It's about preparation.
It's about preparation.
Yes.
Are we prepared?
That's another thing. That's why I said when you do the right thing, we are scoring Portugal.
Last question is, are you prepared? We are going to win this match very hard. It's a simple game. It's a simple game. 2-0. Yeah. 2-0. Let me tell you, 0 is even having a psychological trauma. How? Manchester just acting. So being on the foot, he's not of himself. I say he was not away the match. You will not play team today. Market on our. But how would that affect, say, football is psychological? How would that affect? Was he not playing with Bruno Fernandes? He was. And he knows he's part of those who are making to know about him. So they are not cool. They are not cool. Today, you know, African football mathematics. You calculated it. After the game, we will run this interview here. You mark it on the number. After this game, we will come. After the game, we will come here and come and tell you that I hear with your calculator. You know already. Okay. Black Star, nothing changes. We are winning. Ghana is scoring 2.
Okay, Muptao, I'm really getting the vibe around you and the team back in Doha. So. Interesting moments there. Nabila is having a fun of its lifetime with the people in Doha. But we are also joined by Nuhu Adams, who has also joined the team in Qatar. I think before he emplaned, we had a very lengthy chat on Sports Review on Saturday. So I don't know what has changed, but maybe Nuhu can tell us what really is happening on the ground. Nuhu, if you can hear me, good morning.
Yes, just put that flag behind me.
No, if you can hear me, good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to see you. We had a very lengthy chat on Sports Review before you left on Saturday. Tell us, on the ground in Doha, Qatar, what has changed from the conversations we're having around the Black Stars?
Nothing has changed. People are in high morals. They believe that the Black Stars can spring an upset against Portugal because looking at the results of some of the games, like Japan beating Germany, Saudi Arabia also beating Argentina, they know the Black Stars have the quality to upset Portugal today. So that is what we are looking for.
Talking about the games that you have rightly pointed out, nobody said that Hervé Renard and his Saudi side could do that to Argentina. Yes, it would put a lot of pressure on Portugal, especially Cristiano Ronaldo, because he would want to prove a point. We know him every other time. It doesn't go well for Messi. He would wish he would be the one to do the best of it. But the score that we have, you think that we can match up to this Portuguese side that will also not allow us repeat what has happened to Argentina and Germany to them?
Well, of course, the bigger countries are picking lessons from the results that have been coming out of these games in Qatar here, because they feel they will have to put the house in order, not to underrate anything. And Portugal are coming into this game with some poor run of results. You know, their last 15 matches in the World Cup, they've managed only 3 wins, and that's so poor. They've drawn 5 and lost the 5 others. So it's something they want to put it aside and make sure they start this World Cup on a very good note. But we have the quality. Individually, we have players who can match every single player in the Portuguese team, with the exception of Ronaldo, who has greater number of statistics going inside. And we all know that he has been in the news for the wrong reasons. So we want to prove a point today against the Black Stars. But looking at the report from the camp and from training, the Black Stars are poised. They are ready. They are ready to die for the country. They are ready to make sure they put smiles on Ghanaians after 7 p.m. Ghana time today.
Drawing the analysis of both sides, what are your expectations of the Black Stars? How best do you think Otuado can line up his men against Ronaldo's Portugal?
Well, selection is always going to be a headache for any coach who is handling the team now. But Otuado and his technical men by now know who should start, who should come from the bench, and at what time should they bring in 1 or 2 or certain players. So I don't have an idea as to which players are going to start against Portugal, but on the hindsight, we can know that Atizigi will maintain his position. Tarek Lamte is likely to play. Baba Rahman is also likely to play. Mohamed Salisu and Daniel Amate in central defense. In midfield,
I'm sure we'll get to hear from Nuhu Adams whilst he gets back online with us. But it's been all energy around the Black Stars at home and even far away, Doha, Qatar, where they are preparing and hoping to line up against Portugal later in the day. Nuhu, you can continue.
Yes, as I was saying, Otuado and his men will come up with something great that will be able to upset the Portuguese tonight.
Not player specifics, but if you watched how the Saudis were able to hold Argentina, watch how the Japanese were able to hold Germany, it all boils down to a lot of zest, a lot of power, a lot of hard work, a lot of running, and some outburst of energy. Do we have that to be able to run at the Portuguese if need be?
Yeah, we have the youngest squad in this at this World Cup. So in terms of energy, in terms of strength, we should be up there because we have a very young squad. Looking at the team, we have players who are 20, 21, 22, 23. So these players are players who are expected to give out a lot of energy, a lot of strength against any opponent they face. So like we've seen the Japanese and the Saudis being too tactical and being too fast and quick enough to make sure they punish their opponent. We are expecting same from the Black Stars and Otuado. We want to see something like that against the Portuguese. They'll try to dominate possession. They'll try as much as possible to attack us. So we must be very resolute at the back, catch them on the break. And when we catch them on the break, we have to be so quick that by the time they realize the boys are at the back of the net. And
okay.
That's how we can beat them.
How many goals are you expecting from the Black Stars?
Well, I can't give a scoreline, but I know the results will be a result. Ghanaians will be happy and celebrate about.
Okay, we'll continue this conversation on Saturday after the game, so you keep safe.
Thank you.
Okay, and so that is the Nuhu Adams far away in Doha, Qatar, with the team of Mukhtar Nabil Abdul, Gary Al Smith, and George Addo Jr. I'm sure we get to have all the updates from them as we are counting down to somewhat that all-important opener for the Black Stars of Ghana against Portugal. But ahead of this game, of course, Captain Andrea, you would have to speak and has acknowledged that the Portugal side are favorite ahead of Group H opener. And he has, however, assured Ghanaians that the Black Stars have prepared well and will give the Portuguese a difficult time later this afternoon.
Well, as my boss said, it's not really our problem what's happening in the Portuguese team, but I think they are great professionals. They play for top teams, so they'll be ready for the World Cup. It's the biggest stage, so they will be ready for it. And yeah, if we're going to talk about favorites, we cannot get into this game and lie. We all know that if we are going to get into this game, Portugal are the ones who are favorites on paper. But after, we have to show on the field that on paper is not what will happen on the pitch. So we are ready, and we know we're playing a very big side who were European champions a few years back, who have top players. But we believe in ourselves, and we know what's ahead, and we're going to do everything to make it very difficult for them. Well, we all know that in these big tournaments there are a lot of surprises that can happen. So we just need to be ready. What Saudi did was great, was marvelous. But we need to think about ourselves, not look at what somebody has done. And we prepare for our game, which we are going to do everything to take something out of this game.
It's an all-important day for Ghana because the Black Stars are going to have their bite at that cherry in Qatar. The first bite, I should say, because there's an all-important game, like I keep saying. And so my colleagues, Bernice, Abu-Baidoo, Lansah, and Quinsta Japan, and Maps are standing by to have their own sort of conversation around the Black Stars. Yes, we here also know how to talk about our Black Stars. So I'll join them now, and I am back to continue with AM Sports.
Right, Abigail. Yes, it's all sorts of positive vibes for a lot of people. And the ladies and I are here again today. Remember, just before that World Cup was opened, we had a conversation, Queenster and I. Today, Maps joins us. Hello. It's good to have you. And we didn't plan which of the jerseys to wear, but for a very, I think, good reason, we are all in white, right? So it means Ghana is winning this. We can sense the victory. Okay, tell me what it was like for you coming to work. We know what it is like when the Black Stars is playing. What did you see? What did you observe? Are Ghanaians getting into the groove? Maps.
Okay, so I mean, you go to Kokomemle Mall, right, which is outside the kiosk, and people who are passing see you in your jersey and they're just excited, you know. They are hooting, they are making a noise, they or say Black Stars or say Black Stars. So a lot of people are very excited. Even when you enter the makeup room, they're wearing their Black Stars jerseys. You go to the control room, the director is in his Black Stars jersey. So people are very excited.
Yeah, I think coming to work, I saw a couple of taxis and private cars with the Ghana flag behind their cars. So I think Ghana, when we are going for tournaments, before the tournament, you feel like people don't really care, they don't support the team. But once it's time for us to play, they just come to the party. So I feel this time around is way better than what we experienced during the AFCON. I think the World Cup is a big deal, and Ghanaians love big things. So I'm sure this time around they are coming. Yeah. So it's
right.
Cool.
So let's go to the camp of the Black Stars now. And I have been monitoring what's been happening on the GFA's Black Stars page on Facebook. And yesterday, a photo popped up. Yeah. I just checked this morning, and it's had about plus 13,000 reactions, likes, loves, good vibes. And it's all because Sule Muntari was with the boys yesterday. Mavs, how did you feel when you saw that photo?
I mean, I saw it and it was like orgasmic. It was orgasmic. I mean, he's trending on Twitter. You know, people really love seeing him at the camp, and they're just like, okay, you know what? There's some sort of like support behind the boys, and we love to see that. You know, a lot of people are saying that, oh, hashtag bring back the love. It's just nothing but like a hashtag. But you're seeing that people are supporting the Black Stars. So obviously something is happening, something is changing.
Yeah, so it's good to see old players come to camp, especially during tournaments like this. And Sule Muntari, he has seen it all when it comes to the Black Stars. And this crop of players really respect him. Some, I believe, were like, I want to be like Sule Muntari when I grow up and stuff. For you to see him in camp right in front of you, it's a big deal, and I think it's a big motivation for the boys. And he would definitely tell them what he has seen, because he was there in 2010, so 2014 he was there. So you definitely give them a lot of morale and tell them, Charlie, this is Portugal. The name might sound scary, but on the field, you just do what you do best. And so I think it's a good motivation for the boys, for Muntari to be in camp, and he's looking good. So.
Before we heard the 26-man squad, there were those who suggested, let's have at least a senior player in there. There were calls. I remember when I interviewed Reverend Lawrence Tete, who says that he is the chaplain of the Black Stars, unofficial sort of. He seemed to be pushing for Samojan to be taken. There were others who also felt the same way, that even if he wasn't going to be on the field, let's bench him. But once he is there, there's a certain sort of confidence, there's a certain sort of calmness that, you know, comes with how the team feels and the morale of the team. Would you say that we will still have that same benefit with Muntari's visit, even though he's not part of the squad per se?
I think we will, because Muntari, like I said earlier on, he is huge when it comes to the Black Stars, and I'm sure the players, I think the mere fact that they respect and adore him, because you know what you are going to do, being there, done that. So it's not as if, so whatever he tells you, he'll be telling you out of experience. So he be at the cabin, at the camp, I think it's good for the team. Although Olele is already there, he has also been the goalkeeper for the Black Stars. He was there for a while before he retired. So Muntari's addition would be good for the Black Stars.
Right,
it's
okay.
Better than none. So
Maps?
I think
you think same. Okay, so look, the Black Stars are doing it today. We know what it is like for African nations. I remember when we played in South Africa, and we were the only team at that time that had the potential of going to the quarter and semis, and we lost that penalty. It was as if the whole weight of Africa was on the shoulders of Ghana. Maps, I know. Bafana is not happy with that, especially with what happened in the build-up to the AFCON and to the World Cup. We know Nigeria is still not too happy with that. But look, let's be honest. When it comes to Africa and the World Cup, there seems to be a certain collective. We've seen African countries play. Yesterday, I was hoping Tunisia could win the first game for Africa, but it didn't happen. Senegal couldn't. So there's a lot of pressure on the boys, okay, to perform. Besides that, we've also seen major upsets. Yesterday, Japan did it against Germany, and it was such an interesting win. Considering these two scenarios, one, the pressure on the boys to be the first African team to win their game, and also seeing that a lot of underdogs have caused major upsets, what is your expectation of the game today, Maps?
Expectations, I mean, we're hoping that the boys will win. But if we're looking at the reality on the ground, it's going to be an extremely tough game, you know, and with all the pressure, like you said, with all the pressure from various stakeholders and whatnot, it's going to be a tough game. I would love to say that, you know, I see a win for Ghana, but if I'm being very honest, I don't. Yeah, because I'm looking at Portugal's team. I'm looking at, you know, the players that they have. So it's going to be a really tough game. So I'm not sure if Ghana will, you know, live up to the expectations. But like you said, so far we've seen that it's been a game for the underdogs. Will Ghana be the first African team to win? Let's wait and see.
Yeah, and I feel Ghana will have to get inspiration from the likes of Saudi Arabia and Japan, because against Saudi Arabia's game, Saudi Arabia playing against Argentina, nobody gave them the chance of winning against Argentina. So I believe even if the African countries have not done, or they've not opened the door for us to pass through, I feel we should pick inspiration from these underdogs, because obviously we are going into this game against Portugal as the underdogs. So if Saudi Arabia did it against Argentina, Japan did it against Germany, I feel this should be a source of inspiration for us, and then we can do it. It will be extremely difficult against Portugal. It will be extremely difficult. So on the day today, we have to be close to perfect on the field. Like, you can't get anything wrong. 99% of everything you do on the field should be perfect. Other than that, you find yourself wanting.
Now the team we have is a pretty young team, young blood, a lot of freshness in the team, but there's also a bit of inexperience that concerns a lot of football lovers. How do we gel the two? How do we ensure that, it's a young team, let's give them a chance, but also, like Queen Star is saying, how do we ensure that they give their best, even though they are inexperienced?
Well, at this current moment, it's pretty much too late to give anything, right? But we trust that the coach has worked hard. The coach has, trained them well enough for them to get on the pitch and to deliver. They might have been experienced, but that might be a good thing because they are hungry. Yeah, because, they're inexperienced. They're like, okay, cool, I want to prove myself. So all the players will be on the field trying to prove themselves. And in trying to prove themselves, might score a goal or two, which will be a good thing at the end of the day.
Yeah, so the inexperienced bit has its own advantages and disadvantages. So the advantage is what Maps has said. And then the disadvantage will be like, okay, this is the World Cup, it's a big stage. So if you have players who have been to the World Cup, they have the experience. No, don't worry, just calm down. At the end of the day, it's what you are doing on the field that matters. Forget about the fans. Once you score, they will be shouting. But until then, just keep your cool and do what you do best. I also feel that this Portugal side, they are also coming into the game very hungry. They've been chasing this World Cup since 1966. This is their 8th World Cup. We are coming, and this is our longest wait since 2014, because 2018 we couldn't come to the tournament. So I feel that the coach will have to try and find a way to balance. We can't even balance, because the day you and Jordan are the only experienced players in the team. But so you should just
when
find
it comes to the World
Cup.
Cup.
They have been there before. Aside them, none of the players have been to the World Cup. So you should just find a way of talking to them. Let them know that though you are new players, you have to start from somewhere to gain experience. So just go out there, do your best, just die for Ghana. This is the time. It's now or never. So
I think the most important thing is that if they make sure that they feed that hunger and not their ego, then we will have a very good game. So that's the most important thing, is that they feed their hunger and not their egos.
Interesting. We've got our fingers crossed, guys. There's just one last thing I like to take the thoughts of the ladies on before we wrap up, take a few of your comments. The president has left for Qatar. That is talking point for a lot of Ghanaians. They feel that, yes, we understand. We want them to know that we are with them, we support them. But it doesn't need you to go there. Franklin Kujo of Imani Africa, for example, says a phone call will have done it. We know that the president of US, Joe Biden, did that. So just your quick thoughts on that. Considering where we are and the concerns about the economy, how much it is costing us to fly the president and his team, and also people feel it's bringing a lot of negative vibe to the positive vibe that was beginning to build up, because people are like, no, we don't even want politics associated with its maps.
Okay, so I'm gonna take us back to Global the Global Festival, Citizens Festival, I beg your pardon, where it was a very great, environment. People were there to enjoy themselves. People were there to have the time of their lives. And then when the president came, we saw what happened, right? And like you said, you're bringing that negativity into that space. So I think, the president, did he really have to go and to Qatar? Honestly, no. Because what exactly are you going to do? If you talk to them?
They say it's going to motivate them.
Is it going to motivate them? Is it going to motivate them? Or is it just going to upset them? So I think it's honestly, who am I to advise the president? But I don't think that the president should have gone there, because looking at all the places that he's been there when people were there for positive vibes, and like the reaction that's met him, it's just And also, sorry, today the finance minister will be reading the budget statement. It's like, so where are your priorities? If we're being on, where are your priorities?
you can see people are complaining about hunger, people are complaining about the economy, and you, Uncle, have decided to go to Qatar. Okay.
I would have stayed back if I was the president. Even if you want to speak to them, I think you can do that via Zoom, something. If you don't want to do the phone call, you want to look at them face to face, you can do it via Zoom. So I don't think I don't know, aside the motivation, I don't know what else drove him there. But if it's just the motivation, I thought we would have just stayed back and then do that from here. Yeah.
All right, quickly, we're wrapping up shortly. When Maps comes later to have our social media segment, we'll take all your comments and predictions, but I'm putting you ladies on the spot. Maps, prediction for today's game.
Prediction for today's game, 2-0, and the 2's for Portugal.
Maps! Don't worry, the Bafana here is coming. Queensta.
2-1 in favor of Ghana.
2-1 in favor of Ghana. Okay, like I say, I'm very... what's the word?
Optimistic.
I'm very optimistic, yet I stay away from predictions. I just want a win for Ghana. However that win comes, whether there's a penalty or not.
You can't.
We need a win. But hey, guys, you know how we do it here. If it's a prayer you want to say for the Stars, just do it. There's a photo you want to take and put it out there. Who knows? They will see your photo and get excited and know that at least there are Ghanaians who are behind the team. So go Black Stars, go. That is our cheer for you guys. All the best today in that game against Portugal. At 4 p.m., it will be live on Joy Prime and on Joy 99.7 FM. For now, we wrap up our conversation for sports. Benjamin Akakpo takes over with our budget conversation. But later, during our interactive segment, we'll hear what you have to say about the Black Stars. Back to you in the studio.
And so before Benjamin takes over with all of that budget and political talk, we're still in the mood for Black Stars because we should be center stage today. So you can get through to us on the phone lines and also send us your predictions, the players you would want to see or Tuado line up later against Portugal. Join us on the phone lines now on 0302-211-691, 0302-211-692, and tell us your predictions. Do you want to see Lawrence Atizigi in post, or you want to see Danlad Ibrahim? You would want to see Daniel Efie Bani again? I don't know. You want to see Salisu? I think at the moment some say he's the nicest in there. But okay, so 0302-211-691, 0302-211-692. Join us now with your predictions as we are counting down to that all-important Group H opener for Ghana because it's against another big gun in Portugal. Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal against Andre Dede Ayew's Black Stars. And so we'll get to see how it pans out later at Stadium 974 in Doha, Qatar. So we are waiting. Okay, so Abdul Ganiu has joined us. Is that Kotoko player? Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Okay, so Abdul Ganiu, you're calling us from?
Mankargo.
Okay, I thought it was the former Kotoko player, but okay, so
no. Mankargo.
Okay, so Ghana will line up against Qatar later today. Against Portugal in Qatar.
Portugal.
What are you expecting? Any predictions?
Inshallah, I know, and I'm praying for Ghana to score Portugal 1-0 against Portugal this evening. Inshallah, Ghana will score Portugal by the grace of Almighty Allah, by 1-0.
Okay, and who do you think can score that only goal for Ghana?
We have young guys, those who are playing the ball, and we have hope in all of them. I think at the end of the day, I am predicting maybe Fatau Isaku may score the goal because far as he has been playing for Portugal, one of the team in Portugal, he knows Portugal players very well, and he can do a magic there to score a goal for us.
Okay.
Fatau Isaku will score the goal for Ghana, inshallah.
Okay, thank you very much, Abdul Ganiu. Clearly, it's Fatau Shaku you would want to see, and possibly he getting us the only goal. A lot of scorelines strictly in, but what remains dominant is 1, 2, 3. It looks like they don't see the Black Stars going beyond 3, like the Spanish have done. And so, we'll get to see what it is later for Ghana against Portugal. You can join me on phone 0302211691. Give me that prediction. Who do you want to see? For me, if you ask me. Okay, so Sergio has joined me. Sergio, good morning.
Morning.
How are you doing?
Fine.
Are you pumped up for the Black Stars today?
Yeah.
Okay, so what are your expectations? Who do you want to see? Can you give us a prediction?
Today I want to see.
Okay. Okay.
Tarek Lansah.
Okay.
Amati.
Okay. Okay.
And Baba Ma.
Okay, that's fine. And what's your prediction for this game?
Today Ghana will score.
Okay, so for you, it's a win for Ghana, however it comes.
Huh?
I'm saying that for you, you just want to see Ghana win.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much for calling, Sergio. Okay, so that's Sergio also joining us with this prediction. He wants to see Atizigi, he wants to see Salisu, he wants to see a host of other players line up for the Black Stars of Ghana. But the feeling is not only in Accra. I'm told my colleague Bright Koku of Love FM is also on standby to tell us what is happening in Kumasi. Bright, if you can hear me, good morning.
Abigail.
Probably are in some form of high spirits, going about our duties as well, but mindful that the Black Stars are going to be in action later in that Group H open up. Tell us the atmosphere in Kumasi. We know how much you love football.
Yeah, very much. We love football so much here in Kumasi. And the euphoria, I must say, is heightened over here. You walk through the streets and you find people wearing their Black Stars t-shirts, their jerseys. They are putting on their national colors, paraphernalia in the national colors. So I'm right here at Ejija Market, specifically at the Tech Junction, where I'll be interacting with some bus conductor, that is the Trotro mates. Already before I came here, they were heated. There was a bit of arguments. Some going for Ghana winning and others saying Portugal also winning. So we'll go inside and find out from them what is informing this expectation from the Black Stars today. So we'll move right inside and find them. So as you can see, these are some of the conductors here at this very station. So please come closer. Good morning.
Morning.
You are live on JoyNews TV. Yeah, what's your name?
My name is Eric Kwabna Success.
Okay, I can see, before I came here, I saw you guys were so happy. You were happy, particularly you were saying Ghana was going to win. Yeah. What's your expectation for today?
Today Ghana will score 2-1. Portugal will score first goal, and Jordan and Dede will score the 2 goals. So Ghana will score 2 goals to 1.
Just 2 goals to 1. Yeah. Are you sure it's okay to push us?
Yeah, because we have to top the group. So we will score 2-1. It will be only 1 goal difference. And our next match we score Uruguay 2-0 and we draw South Korea. So we score 2 goals to 1.
So let's compare the performance earlier. We met with Switzerland in our last match, and then it was from there that everybody was excited that the Black Stars was going to perform. How did you see that particular match?
Our match against Switzerland, we played very well. Everybody know it. Our players were good. So we believe in them that they can score Portugal for us.
We believe in them. We are not meeting anybody than Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
I know Argentina met Saudi Arabia and then they were scored. Yes. So we've been considered as underdogs. Do you think we can score them?
I said Argentina will score first goal. And we scored them 2-1.
You scored them 2-1?
Yeah.
So who are those you are predicted to win?
Dede and Jordan.
Dede and Jordan. All right, so that's a gentleman also here. Let me find out from you also, gentleman. Okay, Mami new come. Okay, so they are not ready. Let me find out from you. Kakra, sorry, Mami. Now, I said, why heated, Kakra? Mami, finding out. Saying, score, who say, match, who say?
Ayana, Ghana, Kaya Sempaibo. Chama Israel, Yamimai. Yamini Israel in Sawaso. Israel Conquasumu, Emma Yamiko Yomo. But Oman qualified. 80 Empire and Mobile. 8 years ago, Mokas same way. I Quakumon some class watch Ronaldo night. Not knowing that, and I know when you near John Boy night. What I say? 8 years, Yawadibua. there's a saying that impossibility being possible is faith. If Ghana score, yeah, it's good. But there's no way you bet me ashe. Yentiminche, enye. Yawadibu akla oba umpire o henyame. Yawadibu abo umpire o henyame. Peso about time kwa wo so bo umpire se Ewurade be mananya wo. Wo so bo umpire ese Ewurade ma Ghana nche Portugal. Enya possible.
But onye Ghana ni. Onye Ghana ni, so we should expect say
enu na ekuye no. Enu kure, eye no kure. Ghana, etime ya Ghana. Nenti no. Enya mesiye. Enya mesiye. Enya eye. Ai satama na ye okipa kura debu no. Anye na atizigi. Tama atizigi ya the nation Brazil. Ya the nation Portugal. Atizigi ya Valencia Portugal. Eti uye de ya enye. Eye ya fine. Ye nyina ye om. Me flag wo hobat. Me ha me wonyi flag no na obi abehuru me. Atizigi ya Valencia Brazil. Portugal. Uye de ya enye. Eye ya fine. Akwesa wo papa. Eni matwoma en koko. Oya dey yababo papa. O papa kono o wini afine. But ya show papa eh normal. O papa ho dey na anuru. Eti ya me ya Ghana ni me ya Ghana. Eh fact. Ghana, Brazil, Portugal, omuni mbobo 100% echenye.
Okay. So that's also a gentleman who just explained that because Portugal is a better side than Ghana, they are going to score us no matter what we do, even if we have the best players. Already we've been said to be the underdogs in this particular championship. So he says we're facing against Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal, then they are definitely going to score us. So I also have another man here. He's already in his Black Stars jersey already. I can see you are who say when yachi? Oh, many diaji because the Ghana of winning our share. You know, I am mine, and they were Konano, and country bia 32 nations in Ghana, Ubia, Betimiaji, and you know, as we potential winners, Libby, and Tiniamu and Wabun Fiancé and Yadi, and you know, said 2010 year coy, 2006 year coy, and you fairly 2018, but 2020 year, you be making sure say you be improved. They say your quality players are betting a match, Cristiano Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, Monia, yes, who could do Simone Partey, Bobo, week in and week out, oh, Premier League, and you know, me when you say Ghana, your chances, no, you bet match Portugal, you bet match, so I didn't try into me, so, and your Maya is a football nation, born in Imbo, your quality players or high profile players are week in day out at Tomonka. In the bet match Portugal, said they who say Germany, Japan, share or more, Saudi Arabia, Argentina, why not? Yes, we are never Portugal by 2-1. Never Portugal. Okay, so that's also another gentleman who says, based on the surprises we've had so far in the World Cup, Saudi Arabia scoring against Argentina, having yesterday Japan score against Germany, he says he's confident that the Black Stars will score against Portugal. He says we have the quality players. Based on the number of quality players we have so far, he is very sure that we are going to score against Portugal. So I also have this watcher seller who's been feeding the bus conductors over here. So, Mami, finding out from you, and then who matching is saying?
The thing is, Ghana, there's no way I say Ghana beats my show Portugal. Because senior man, they were senior man. Young Ghana for Anka say Nyadi. But as a Ghanaian, I wish my country best. As a Ghanaian, I wish my country best. But the thing is, it can be possible. It can be possible. Like, we need GDP Ghana. It's not a reality. Stop making noise.
All right, so already the guys have started giving us some morale over there. Let me find out from them. So let me see. Me will say otonyo ya kakra na otonyo abemwe onyame bosano abemwe onyame bosano abemwe
Ghana promised land. You ever shut Portugal? You so
it's a divided attention here in Kumasi. Some are saying they are confident in the Black Stars. Others are also saying that it's going to be quite a tough game for the Black Stars. But hopefully, we are all supporting the Black Stars from here at Kumasi. Over to you, Abigail, in the studios.
Of course, divided opinions over there, but you cannot fault to anyone. But I'm sure deep down, they know that the Black Stars of Ghana will be able to do something good for us later today. But we'll take a break. We're back to continue.
Well, thank you for staying with us. And after all the talk, big talk, by the way, as far as the Black Stars are concerned, and we're rooting for them to go and get the win, how about we talk about our economy, the state of our finances as a country, and whether we can win in that regard. Today is D-Day, and Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is set to present the 2023 budget. But will this be a blessing to Ghana, or that Celtic miracle? Will it restore the brokenness of our economy in the midst of an IMF program? What exactly are your expectations? We'll be hearing from stakeholders as well as far as their expectations are concerned. Well, joining us for that conversation, we have quite the lineup for you. But let's start from the studio with my colleague Isaac Kofi Ajay, who will be breaking down for us some of the data that we have so far. Kofi, good to have you on board.
Well, good morning.
You're looking sharp as usual.
You're looking Ghanaian.
Very much so. So let's get into it. What exactly are you going to be presenting to us this morning?
Well, so we'll just be looking at the 2022 budget and look at some key highlights from the 2022 budget.
Right.
What was our, projected revenue versus, expenditure.
Okay.
If you look at what we have here, we projected to raise an amount of 100.5 billion Ghana cedis and also spend some 137.5 billion Ghana cedis. But along the line, we realized, we can't raise 100.5 billion. Neither can we spend 137.5 billion cedis. So we revised it from 100 to 96.8 billion cedis. And then also decided to now spend 135.7 billion cedis. So if you look at the first projection that we did, was going to result in a deficit of some 37 billion Ghana cedis. And then we had to do a revision from 100 to 96, then from 137 to 155. Yet, we still saw the deficit going up from 37 billion to 38.9 billion. So Ben, although we reduce our expenditure, also cut down on our revenue, we're still seeing deficits rising from 37 billion to 38.9 billion. We actually got this data from the 2023 budget preparation guidelines released by the Finance Ministry. So we've been looking at this. So if you're a government and then you have your expenditure being more than your revenue, how do you, fund your deficits? So two things, is either you go to the domestic market or you resort to the external market as well. If you come to the domestic market, there's so many methods that you can use. You can use a drawdown from GOG's deposits with, the Bank of Ghana. And then also we have government can decide to do the treasury bill approach or do overdraft. Well, we've seen this year government getting some 22 billion cedis from the central government as a result of an overdraft. But in the international fund market, to be precise, we have the Eurobond market. It's either we go for an IMF program or we use syndicated loans. So this year, we missed Eurobond markets. In fact, we were hoping to get some $3 billion from the Eurobond market for us to be able to, cushion our budget and also give us some relief in terms of foreign liquidity. We're still in talks with the IMF to help us get also $3 billion to help us save our economy. We've done, some syndicated loan agreements. We've done the cocoa syndicated loan. We've been able to get some loans from Afri-Exim Bank, and then also some loans that we got from elsewhere this year. But if you miss all of this, then you have to go to your, domestic economy. So if you have your expenditure being more than your income, one way you can close the deficit gap is to make sure you raise more revenue. Raising more revenue, probably you can be expanding your tax net. So we've had, people say that probably today the finance minister will introduce an upward adjustment of about 2 percentage points on the VAT, or the value-added tax that we have. So we have for you taxes on goods and services that as a country we charge currently. So we have quite a number of them. So if you do the breakdown, we still have some excise tax, we have duty, and then petroleum taxes. So this year, in total, we're hoping to get some 80.2 billion cedis from tax revenue. And that's about 82% of the total projected revenue for this year. And as you can see, majority is supposed to come from taxes. If you look at taxes on goods and services alone, about 36 billion Ghana cedis. And among them, the biggest component is the VAT, which this year government is projecting will rake in some 14.5 billion Ghana cedis as far as VAT is concerned. We also have some monies coming from Get Fund. There's e-levy, which is not doing so well. We'll be talking about its performance since the year began. So this is the e-levy. The first, or the initial projection, was 6.96 billion Ghana cedis. Then we revised it downwards to 4.5 billion. Now, even with this 4.5 billion, we had to still revise downwards, Ben, to some, I think, 650 million. Yeah, so it means we started off with almost 7 billion, and we've revised it downwards to some 650 million. Oh, even with that, we're not getting our target revenue.
From the 6.96, we revised it to about 4.5 billion.
4.5 billion, and now I think it's 650 million.
Right,
exactly.
Right, because I think in the first month, was it May or June, we raked in just about 7%.
Absolutely.
The following month, about 10%. And it was clear that we're not going to get
our target, so we had to revise it downward. So if you look at the data, if you're still using the 4.5 billion that we targeted, it means if you look at first and second quarter of the year, we just got 6.2%, and if you're still using the 6.9 billion, we just got 6.4% of our target revenue. So to have, a target of 1.5 billion and get 93 million, that should tell you that you are far away from your target, and the variance is huge, and it actually affects your total revenue or total projected revenue. So no wonder we've seen total revenue now coming down, the projection now being reduced from 100.5 billion to some 96.5 billion Ghana cedis. So that's what you have. If you look at the various months and how much we got from e-levy, target versus provisional, I must emphasize that this data we're using is provisional data from the Ministry of Finance, their own fiscal data that they publish on their website. So May, we just got 8% of our targets. In June, we got 12.99% of the target revenue. So we're not doing so well with the e-levy. But moving away from, revenue, let's go to expenditure for 2022. Expenditure for the entire year is about 137.5 billion. We know it has been revised to 135 billion. But look at we have two line items that will take a chunk of the entire revenue that we'll rake in this year. So if you look at compensation of employees, it's about 35.8 billion. There's also interest payments around 37.5 billion. If you add these two, it's taking a big chunk of the cake that we have. So if you do a subtraction, or if you take away how much you are paying as interest, and then also paying out to workers as compensation of wages and salaries, then as a country, we will just be left with some, 23.5 billion cedis to expend on other items. We ask, is this enough? So possibly the only way out is probably, to go out to borrow, which we've been shut out of the Eurobond market, and we're hoping to get an IMF program or a staff agreement before the year ends. But Ben, we also have some, data from KPMG. They've been doing their budget survey, and then we have some findings for you. So if you look at the KPMG pre-budget survey, they asked respondents very simple questions. So they were asked, are there too many taxes and yet little to show for these taxes collected? So you can see the results on your screens. Let me take the bigger one, which is 88.6% of the respondents indicated that the government takes too many taxes and yet there's little to show for these taxes. We've been talking about the Saglami housing project, which government had to borrow an amount of $200 million to start the project. We know as of last year they are sunk in some $190 million into the entire project, but we've not seen the outcome of the project. And so we asked, when we borrow and when we take taxes from the ordinary Ghanaians, do we really do what we intend to do with such monies? Respondents have spoken. So on e-levy, they were asked, amidst the economic hardship faced by most people ahead of the 2023 budget, respondents, do you expect government to review the following fiscal policies? And so you have 51.4% saying that of the respondent indicated that the e-levy or the electronic levy should be reviewed. Revision will mean a lot, probably will mean bringing down the rates from the 1.5 to some maybe less than 1.5%. Then we also have 18.6% of the respondents indicating or they feel that the petroleum levies should be reviewed. So if you look at, as a consumer, if you buy petrol and you look at the number of taxes on petrol, it's about 12 of them. And in total, you're paying around, 3 cedis as taxes. Respondents want the taxes to be reviewed. We have 4.3% also responding that, a government expenditure or procurement contracts should be reviewed. They feel that this is actually contributing a lot to the expenditure. So 25.7% of respondents felt the importance of tax duties should be reviewed. So we have a whole lot of respondents giving out their opinions during the survey. There was also some question on the IMF program, the 3 billion IMF program that government's actually expecting this year. Respondents were asked questions about it. So 14% of them, they say that they expect the IMF program to anchor debt sustainability. We are still unsure if there's going to be haircuts, if there's going to be debt restructuring, but we know that could be a condition for us to get the IMF program. There's a template from Zambia. They actually got a staff agreement as far as, I think December 2021. It took them 6 months to do a debt restructuring and finally got an IMF program in October this year. They've started and the economy is doing so well. They've been able to reduce inflation from double digits now to single digits. And the Zambian kwacha is now one of the best performing currencies against the dollar as we speak. So if you have 69% of respondents expect the IMF program to restore macro stability. Macro stability is a key issue now that we really have to speak about. We've seen inflation rising from 13.5% now to some 40.4%.
40.4%, right.
Exactly. You've seen producer price inflation now hovering around 65.2%. We've seen our debt stock now about 450 billion as of July. A whole lot of things going on as a country. We are spending close to 35 billion of our income on interest payments. Respondents want the IMF program to focus on macroeconomic stability. We also have 16% of respondents expect the IMF program to promote inclusive and sustainable growth. So we've been talking about pro-poor policies, and we know the IMF program will go heavy on that as well. Just 1% of the respondents believe that the IMF program cannot help address the economy. But we've seen, I think, templates elsewhere that the IMF program is really working elsewhere. It's really helping some economies to restore, their macro stability. I spoke about Zambia. They are doing so well. But we also know a whole lot of countries that now have an IMF program, and they are about to start. So the respondents spoke on the type of debt restructuring respondents expect government to do. As I said, we are not sure the form that our debt restructuring will be, whether it's going to be domestic, whether it's going to be combined or just external. Respondents have spoken. We have just some 64.3% believing that, they feel government should consider both domestic and external debt restructuring. We also have 22.8% also believing that government should just go so with the external debt restructuring. 7.1% say they do not want any debt restructuring. So we'll hear from the finance minister this morning. We'll see whether there's going to be a haircut. And if there will be a haircut, we'll see the form that haircut is going to be. So, Ben, that's what we have. Excess from this year's budget and how far we've come as far as revenue generation and also expenditure are concerned.
Thank you so much, Isaac Kofi-Adjei, there, sharing those details with us in terms of what the dynamics are from the 2022 budget. And of course, we can make some predictions from there when it comes to the 2023 budget. Already, there has been a hint that we could increase VAT. What can we expect in that regard? Let's go over the phone lines and via Zoom as we have our interactions this morning. On phone, we are joined by Dr. Charles Nyaba, Executive Director, Peasant Farmers Association. We also have joining the conversation for now, for starters, via Zoom, William Edum Ado, President of the Pharmaceutical Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana. They both join the conversation. William, Charles, a very good morning to you. If you can hear me, gentlemen. Charles Nyaba, William Edum Ado. A very good morning to you both.
Good morning. I
morning,
can hear you.
brother.
And let me say good morning to your colleagues and the listeners.
Great. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. Let's start with your initial thoughts so far about how far we have come and what the expectations are ahead of the budget reading today. Maybe we'll start from the standpoint of the person delivering the budget. I'll start with you, William, before we get into other pertinent matters. How do you feel about Ken Ofori-Atta, with everything that has happened, delivering the budget statement for 2023? What is your take on that briefly?
His performance or what?
Well, you can talk about his performance. You can talk about what people have said about his not being the person to do this or conduct this exercise today, even majority MPs and all of that. But he is set to do that. What is your quick take on that, even as we get to the budget?
Yes, good morning again, and good morning to your cherished viewers and listeners.
Right.
As a country, we've been reeling under very severe economic pressure, and it's not been palatable situation at all, especially for we, the business people, because the current situation has really depleted our capital by more than 50 to 70%, which is not good for any business institution, especially when we are trying to build institutions that can match up to others in other countries, because it takes the private sector to make countries grow. So in situations like this, as we are not happy, it tells you that those in charge of the finance situation in the country, personally, I'll say hasn't delivered as I expected them to do.
Okay, so that would, and of course, the finance minister is the arrowhead. So basically, the finance minister himself too has not delivered as you expected him to. That's what you're saying.
Definitely, once you are the boss, you are the first person to take the blame when things go wrong. So it ends at his doorstep, yes.
With him. Thank you for that brief initial submission. Let me take same from Dr. Charles Nyaba. Dr. Nyaba, what's your take on that?
Yeah, good morning again. Let me say good morning to my colleague from the pharmaceuticals. If you look at the sector we operate from, it's actually the foundation of the Ghanaian economy, because we produce for both industry and for consumption. So if anything goes wrong, then it affects both production and consumption. So if you look at since the finance minister resumed power from 2017 to 2020, to be very frank with you and then to be sincere to the finance minister, if we want to credit the sector performance to the finance minister, then one would have said that at least they've done better. Because if you look at agriculture performance in terms of growth, from 2017 to 2020, we've seen significant growth in most of the commodities that we produce.
Right.
But after the COVID-19 and the outbreak of Russia-Ukraine crisis, the way the sector went down presents a different picture. Our inability to be resilient towards these factors means that all the policies were gearing towards importation. So any external shocks then affects that. Now, one of the areas that I think he started very well, that we're happy, and for unknown reasons, he took a different position, has to do with the Ministry of Food and Agriculture contracting people to supply fertilizer and seed. So from 2017 to 2019, those who supplied those inputs were paid. 2020, 2021, 2022, those who supply seed, those who supply fertilizer on the planting for food and jobs. Our engagement with the Minister of Food and Agriculture, everything was done for the Minister of Finance to pay, and he failed to pay. And that was what affected fertilizer delivery and seed supply for the sector. Now, when that happened, most farmers who were dependent on the PFJ fertilizer couldn't get it. Seed suppliers who were also have already supplied and they are waiting payment. As we speak, those who supply seed on the PFJ haven't been paid yet. So in 2020, 2021, most of them actually failed to supply these inputs. And that has affected farmers' uptake of this input, which also reflected in the yield level. So now you can see that since agriculture sector failed to actually perform, it has played a significant role on the inflation. So all other food commodities, from the community level, district level, regional level to national level, have seen significant drop in supply, which also puts the price high. So if you look at it from that angle, I'll give him 50-50. He started well, but for unknown reason, his policies to let the economy be resilient in terms of external shocks, he failed to do that.
Right. Let me go back to William briefly. And now you've already started focusing on sectors, Dr. Nyaba. So let me go to William on same. The pharmaceutical sector, when you look at budget 2022, how did it impact the pharmaceutical sector, especially in recent times, hearing that it was going to be cash and carry for even those using the National Health Insurance card and all of that. How did the 2022 budget affect the pharmaceutical sector? And moving forward, what are some of the things we can do, you expect to see in the budget?
Thank you. As you said, cash and carry. The pharmaceutical importers and wholesalers, we only advocated for early payment of those who've credited government institutions, because there are people who are indebted for over the past 2 or 3 years, some going back as far as about 4 or 5 years, with different governmental institutions and also with some of the private institutions. That's why we came out to say that we can no longer handle such situations because it's collapsing our businesses. So it was a caution and a decision that we had to take to protect our businesses. And that called for some meetings to be had between our association and some other associations that were affected. And we've tried to draw a fine line where we can all survive in a very mutually beneficial way. The 2022 budget. So, the CD dollar issue became a problem. We were all doing fine because prices of some of the products internationally hasn't really changed. It is because of the CD, depreciation of the CD that has resulted in the increase of those items. Because as we speak, you need more than 100% of the amount of money for the same item even before you import it. So it's really affecting prices of medicines, which we are not happy about. It's not only medicines. Almost every item on the market has even doubled. However, you realize that some of the medicines, the prices haven't doubled yet, though it's higher than when we started the year, which as importers and wholesalers, we are not happy about because it affects the compliance and it affects the disease situation of patients. You know, if the nation is sick, it's going to affect productivity. So we are not happy about the situation, and we hope that things are restored in the earliest possible time, because complications of non-compliance is always high, and it's going to put more pressure on the NHIS for it to run, because no matter what, you are supposed to provide the medicines for the patients, and those buying out of pocket too have to pay higher bills for their medicine.
Right.
Currently, some are not even able to buy the full cost for the month. And once you start buying it in bits, then it becomes a compliance issue because it makes non-compliance very high.
Mm. And so on that trajectory, what then do you think can be done for the pharmaceutical entities or industry in budget 2023? What do you feel can be done realistically? And maybe even before you get to that, so the first phase of the question, I'd like you to look at this. It has been said that we should go the way of import substitution. And in recent times, there's no clear directive on that, but there is implementation from what we hear that some of the goods that we can produce here, foreign exchange for traders to go and get them is being cut off by the central bank. Have your members been affected in any way as far as that is concerned? Yours is a crucial area. It is not stated in there, but are you feeling the pinch of that in any way?
Currently, because medicines are essential commodities, currently we are not getting a lot of negative feedback when it comes to forex from the banks to pay our imports. However, is the rates that is creating problem, because once the rates goes high, then you have to also adjust your price as such, which we are not happy about because it affects the health of the nation. With the imports, currently a lot of manufacturing facilities are coming up. And I also want to state that when it comes to imports, it's not only Ghana that we do imports. We also do exports. We have our gold, we have our oil, we have other natural resources. We have to look at how much we are getting from those sources. Because even in Germany, in China, I don't know any country that doesn't import. But you ensure that the balance between the export and the import is set appropriately. Because currently, I don't even have a feel that we have oil in this country. I don't know whether you have the same feeling. I don't feel that we have gold in this country. I don't. So I ask myself, but for all these items, what would have happened to us? So we have to maximize what we have to ensure that the import becomes just a drop in the ocean. And I know that if you're able to do that, the issue of financing shouldn't be an issue. Because in the midst of plenty, we are still struggling to raise money, which at times, as a business person, beats my mind and the minds of other colleagues as well. So yes, we'll continue to import, but we should ensure that we maximize our export. Because currently, a lot of us are going into manufacturing. The importers, some are going to manufacturing. And if you look at how this depreciation has offset some of the projections that we made, it will surprise you because a machine costing $10, that would have paid, let's say, 60 Ghana or so, beginning of the year. Now you have to go and pay 150 Ghana. And how do you raise that difference of about 90 cedis? So, in fact, once the cedi depreciates, it just messes up all the projection for growth for a country. And it's affecting the pharmaceutical sector as well.
So tell me, as far as budget 2023 is concerned, and Dr. Nyaba, I'll be with you shortly on the same trajectory. What then would be your expectations? What are you looking forward to beyond the forex issues and all of that? What are you looking forward to seeing in the budget statement that will give hope to you as importers and exporters when it comes to pharmaceuticals?
Yes, thank you. We have to have the assurance that the currency is going to be stable. And also, if possible, we should have special tax regime for medicines, because medicines affect the health and productivity of a country. And also, we expect that NHIS funds or levies collected should be ring-fenced to ensure that monies collected under the NHIS fund are used essentially and strictly for those health situations for the purpose for which it was created for. Because once we do that, it's going to reduce indebtedness to suppliers, to the government institution, which is also going to help our manufacturers, as pharmaceutical manufacturers or importers, to also have their money to be able to make sure that essential medicines are always available on the market for the health of the nation. And also, the issue of galamsey is worrying a lot because, you know, they use chemicals which affect aquatic life, and it's also possible for it to enter into the food chain. So once it enters into the food chain, no matter where you are in this country, once you consume that food over a period of time, it's going to have effect on one's health. And once it has effect on one's health, it's going to create a serious problem for our health budget, which we are currently even trying to find money to manage as we want it to be.
Right.
So we have to look at all those things to ensure that we don't create unnecessary health issues that is going to mess up our whole health plan that we have for the whole country as well.
Hold for me, William. Let me bring in Dr. Nyaba. And it's interesting, Dr. Nyaba, I'm sure you have reactions from the agri sector, but how do you react to this? We also know, per what the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, tells us, that some 28.3 billion Ghana cedis have been used to improve the quality of life of Ghanaians in the last 6 years. And there is quite a breakdown. I'll get to some specific areas, but when you look at one of those he mentions, increasing food production and security through planting for food and jobs, it has led to a 71% increment in the national production of maize and 34% in paddy rice. I just wanted to start with that. But the other items listed include providing needed infrastructure to support decentralization, supporting 1,765,977 Ghanaian students under free SHS or TVET, enrolling 15,656,160 Ghanaians aged 15 years and above on the National Identification Program. There's also promoting the railway network development, supporting ongoing construction of fishing harbors to service coastal communities like Axim, Dixcove, Mori, Mumford, Winneba, Senyabreku, Gomuafete, Tishi, and Jamestown. It goes on and on. It talks about LEAP. It talks about school feeding. It talks about food production. It talks about investing in retooling the security sector and recruiting over 200,000 Ghanaians into crucial services such as education, health, security, and local government. When you look at what has been spent, and then you look at the impact of these, especially focusing on planting for food and jobs and what the other things the minister says. Have we got value for money?
Thank you. You know, when I started, I tried to break his regime into two. When he took over power and the things he has done, and then when we were hit by external factors, the impact. So if you look at, in terms of the impact due to external factors and the amount of investment that went into the sector, it really casts doubt on the impact of those investments that happened. Now, one, I want to agree with my colleague that the first point that we will be looking up to has to do with what measures are we putting in place to ensure that the currency is stabilized. What measures are we putting in place to ensure that fuel prices are either stabilized or come down? These two factors play significant role in the food production sector. And there's a clear link between agriculture and health. Okay? Now, to come to your point, if you look at the amount of money that is invested in the planting for food and jobs, the greater percentage goes to pay fertilizer suppliers, and then to minimum percentage going to support a seed. There are instances as part of government-owned flagship program where money was put for the construction of one district, one warehouse, for construction of one village, one dam. I agree that some of the initiatives were good, but some, it is very difficult as a practitioner in the sector to say there was value for money. Because when you take money that went into one village, one dam, about 80% of the dams that were constructed couldn't actually meet the purpose for which they were constructed. One district, one warehouse, we have the same issue. Most of the warehouses are incomplete. And even the places that they were located have not been that useful to the farmers. Now, per the president's own promise in 2019, that there was going to be increase in investment in the agriculture sector, especially rice, to ensure that by 2023, Ghana is self-sustainable in rice production. You go to the rice growing areas today, most farmers have done all what they can do to produce. It's time for harvesting, and they cannot get access to combines to harvest. So if care is not taken, we are going to lose about 50% of what is produced through post-harvest losses. We were expecting the kind of investment that the minister said is going to the agriculture sector to address three key areas. Mechanization that we have provided combined harvesters for people who produce rice to be able to harvest, maize to be able to harvest. Today, almost the poultry industry is collapsed because they could not get maize to feed their birds. Simply because cost of maize is gone up, and it's gone up because farmers could not actually afford the cost of mechanization services. Farmers could not afford the cost of fertilizer. Farmers could not afford the cost of other agrochemicals. Now, you also come to our own production as smallholder farmers who produce different commodities to feed the market. You realize that this year the supply is gone down significantly. Okay? And the supply is gone down because when the year started, because of high cost of all inputs as a result of an increase in fuel prices and depreciation of the currency, most of the inputs that we bring in, even though the prices at the external market might be stable, but once it gets to Ghana, because our cedi is depreciated, we have to buy at a very high cost. So most farmers could not actually afford. So they couldn't produce. Even those who produce could not actually get these inputs to apply in their right proportion to be able to get a yield. And that has played a significant role in the recent inflation that food inflation that we are experiencing. So for us, we think the minister, on one way, did well in 2017 to 2019, but from 2020 to 2022, his performance in the agriculture sector has not been something that has helped the nation.
Okay, so that point has been made. For the sake of time, I'd just like to find out from you, what then, in some 30 seconds, are your expectations ahead of the budget reading for 2023?
So as we said, the first point we expect to see is that all taxes on petroleum products will be removed. We are looking at three major areas to receive investment from the Ministry of Finance. Irrigation infrastructure, because these days, apart from the external factors, the climate change has caused the rainfalls to be unreliable, and most farmers are losing their produce due to lack of rain. We are also expecting proper investment in mechanization services, because today no youth want to go and use hoe and cutlasses. The cost of tractors and other machinery for farming has gone so high that without subsidy, farmers are going to find very difficulty in actually procuring them.
Right.
Finally, we are also looking at investing in irrigation infrastructure, because the Polgo multipurpose dam, for instance, is serving a lot of purposes. But since 2019, that it appears in the Ministry of Finance budget, no money was allocated, and that project is still stands still. Lastly, inputs, cost of fertilizer, agrochemicals, if nothing is done to it, it's going to be very difficult for farmers to produce and sell at a price that will stabilize the inflation.
Right.
So we expect to actually see investment in these areas.
Thank you so much, Dr. Charles Nyaba, Executive Director for the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. We also had William Edum Ado of the Pharmaceutical Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana. Gentlemen, thank you so much for having joined the conversation. Let me now bring in, representing the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mark Bedu Abuaje. He is Chief Executive of that group. Mark, a very good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Bernard, and Benjamin. Good morning to your viewers as well.
Great. I mean, the last time we had a conversation, you had some pretty telling remarks to make. I'm just looking at a story concerning the Ghana Stock Exchange recording a 224% dip in volumes traded for just last week. Now, I'd like to find out from you, what has the space been like for you in commerce, in industry, and what would be your expectations ahead of the budget for 2023 to make the system better for you?
Well, I heard about our expectation, but the first one, I'm making reference to the stock exchange. I didn't get it clearly.
So last week, there was a dip in terms of the Ghana Stock Exchange, recording 224% of a decline in volumes traded. I'm only trying to tie that in because you also fall into that space.
Okay. So basically, for us, what we are expecting is that there should be some stability in the macroeconomic environment and certainty.
Okay.
Businesses operate in certain environments, and that environment will determine whether they will make profit or break even or run at a loss. But what we are experiencing this year clearly shows that the environment has deteriorated over the period, and the figures are there and clear for all of us to see. You can't operate in an environment where you have inflation hitting the 40s, with interest rates at that level, policy rate up, producer price index is 65%. So we want to see a clear way of reversing this unfortunate situation and bringing inflation and all those things, because they all go into the cost of production. And we can also always transfer this cost to consumers. So stability is key. And that is what we are expecting, that first, we should ensure that all the policies are geared towards ensuring that we reverse all these macroeconomic variables to their normal positions. The other thing also has to do with, I've heard discussions about taxes. And it's unfortunate what I'm hearing, if it's really true. But I believe that it's not true. Yes, about VAT and other things. And I believe and I pray that it's not true. We have so many taxes and levies in this economy. And most of these taxes and levies are on businesses. So combined with the other factors of this macroeconomic situation and the fact that the business is paying off taxes and levies, there is no way any business will be able to produce at a competitive price. So what we are doing to businesses now is we are saying that we want to kill you, the short and simple. Because if you want businesses to produce at a competitive price, then you give them the incentive and give them the leeway to also price at a level that will give them the revenue to make their profit. But what we are seeing now is not the case. We have made a case that increasing revenue from taxes is not about introducing new taxes and also increasing the rate of existing taxes. The loopholes and the leakages and the fact that we are not efficient in collecting our taxes is the bane of our economy. So attention should be given to efficiency in collection of taxes, which as a chamber we are ready to support and sensitize the business community that there's a need for them to pay all these taxes. But if you keep on increasing the taxes and introducing new ones, definitely people will have a way to avoid some of them, because some of these taxes are avoidable. And a clear case is the e-levy. There is a clear substitute that if I don't want to pay through the electronic system, I can take a car and go and pay, looking at the cost of it.
And I was, Mark, I was just about to get to that. Would it be a good substitution if that were increased to the 20% that people are speaking of by some 2.5 percentage points, and then the e-levy was slashed to maybe 0.5%? Would that make sense?
No, because in the VAT, if you look at it now, it's about 19.5.
Right.
If you look at 0.5 VAT, you add the GET Fund, NHIL, and all those things, and COVID levy. We are way out of COVID. I don't understand why now businesses are still paying COVID levy. If you add all these things, you are getting to the 19.5, and you are going to add another 2% or 2.5. It's around the 21, 22. What are we doing to businesses? So for taxes, I think that they should take a second look at all the decisions that are coming out. I don't know who really is advising them, but it's not a good advice that we also have to look at. We also have to look at the physical consolidation aspect of it, expenditure bit of it. We are in this situation, this mess, because of excessive expenditure, which has translated into excessive borrowing. Let us look at, thankfully we are not in political season, and I don't expect that there will be slogans and a lot of this expenditure trying to win political power. Let us be realistic with this budget, with figures that will be able, all of us, to get a revenue to support the expenditure. If you look at an expenditure item that we think that is not relevant at this time, because what we need is to bring stability, let us hold on with such expenditure and ensure that we stabilize and then get a revenue. If you are running a smaller budget deficit, it means that you will not have to go and borrow to support the deficit. What we have realized is that now that the international market is close to us, the Eurobond market, all the deficit will be financed locally, which means that government will be borrowing from the local market. And when they do that, they crowd out the private sector. Okay. Now, at the high interest rate, you go to the bank, and the possibility of you also getting a facility is also difficult because the government prefers to give the banks prefer to give the money to government at a rate that they think that they can make profit and is also secured, thinking that the private sector is risky and will not be able to pay. So when you put all these things together, it is not good for businesses. This is a government that came on the basis of moving from taxation to production. What has happened within this short time that you are now moving from production to taxation? If you look at the previous budget, they said they want to ensure entrepreneurship. How many businesses have been created over this year? The businesses that are already there are dying because the economic environment is not conducive. So you can't increase tax again and say that you are supporting entrepreneurs. Right. Physical consolidation, what have you done? Excessive borrowing, excessive expenditure, less revenue because of inefficiency in collection. Right. And then job creation. Who is creating the job? It's the private sector. In fact, private sector employs about 94% of the total labor force that we have. We want to create a job, but the businesses that will expand and absorb this unemployed youth are the businesses that we are finding a way to make them unprofitable and also collapse them. So this budget, for me, is a very crucial budget. It's a budget that should set the recovery for economic stability and also to consolidate the physical front. Right. So we are looking up and we are very expectant that it will be a budget that will at least give relief to businesses and the people of Ghana. We also would want to see a clear way of how
so maybe your very final point, Mark, that one you're making.
Fine. A clear of how they are going to change the structure of the economy. Right. It is very important for us, and as a business community, we are ready to support the government in ensuring that we export more and import less.
Okay. Mark, we're very grateful. We'll have more time to, converse on this much later. But Mark Abu-Baidoo is Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry. But how about on the flip side? So we're going to the Ashanti region, Kumasi to be specific, to gauge the mood of people there ahead of the delivery of Budget 2023. My colleague Emmanuel Bright-Kweku is standing by to sample the views of people in the Ashanti region, specifically Kumasi. Emmanuel, if you can hear me, take over and have your interactions. Let us know what the people are saying.
All right, so Benjamin, we are right here at Eija Station, specifically the Tech Junction, and it's a bustling and bright morning over here. And as today being the moment everyone is looking forward to, today happens to be the budget reading from the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. And with the current economic crisis befalling the country, citizens and even some non-citizens are complaining bitterly of how this exacerbating economy is biting so hard on them. So I have a station master here with me, and we'll find out from him what the situation is like, what we should expect, what he is expecting that the finance minister will talk about in his 2023 budget statement. Eja Machi.
Yeah, Joe.
Pacho na yepesi ehu. And then I should share every finance minister last year or the levy by. What are you expecting from finance minister?
Finance minister, that they expect one is say, sad taxes now, we say that petrol no soon time, or mama raise petrol no high. And the Bompire say, bet sad taxes ne free so. Now my answer transport union, then say why high because the petrol no book cost ra, will be a fro car no any passenger neku. Until they are expecting so better taxes, so now my estimate tofu and yet media.
And you show now, Sisi Abrabomu et saying, Obia complaining, saying also the
Sisi Abraboni de Enkoyi cry, easy cry or minor because Scana Obenana, Awunya na de toy and Scan so cry and so or mine be beer to be beer and be beer bokosro. In this one, the 10 year so I may answer one Halia, be beer by a yama and tin.
So that's a station master here at the Eija taxi rank. He says that he's hoping that the finance minister will talk about a reduction in the petrol prices or the fuel prices on the market. Already we had the president assuring that he will bring in more cheaper sources of fuel. I also have an old man. He's been in the system for quite a while. Daddy, Udini Ede.
A friend in the Mocho Boy Jan.
Okay. Now, Daddy, Yenshadena who expect before that, saying Abrabo Echo Emma.
Oh, Abrabo, dear. We are Cassia woman. Why you know why you're we need it? If you are set to 20 years, if you are here, yeah, you will be anything you see that. You will be anything Bob Blay. And now, what's that? No credit or petrol boy. But $1 petrol, yeah, petrol in you. That's here the Quaratra. It's in our quabridge. And at the dollar so soon they call Cradiba. The dollar no, Antima from the say about the taxes so cry that petrol so. Still our petrol board because what is in that dollar raise here. Obasa one more Cradiban. Ebasa the Acosro. It is anati. Now maybe the expect young Casani say. I buy one craft fool and said the cannon or crano. Now, Brony Flavis subsidy at Dasso. Now, Barat is so kakra, my drivers, and I are 20 at the Ayajuma. There is a coffee cry almost to touch the Siwa Bansus one tasso or more. One more question to him fan fast, one of bra. Yes, we are development. It is media be here and say, a bino, onion one crack. Now you have been the crack. Then they want what crab and fast one and idea. Crude oil, what a bar, Yarefan and her, and your may won't be an aya banner some fast one idea, a devolved to mine. That's what be cracked, ya, the Yarefan and owner, what they bad years, and there be a near Tiacosi, yet that demo. Timemediano.
Eja, how long now are business in Assisian, so send or taxi driver?
Me and Casaro may started driving 89. We be a bad technique as a large. Nambeya Jumawo, PNT, Ghana Telecom, Vodafone. Eti Meva is 15 years, Mube, Namaba, commercial. That time, crab back commercial, not buying an ekra. with himself a free buzia no money, a champion, cross soldier for you now, one and a crab petrol. At times or not a crab. Mahama by and Mahama say, I'm off where that a Jumana no, almost very sick any year, and my Bible cat, a thing of one camera. Or go for cameras, so I say, no matter what they are, a night. What channel, and Maria's walk on our channel. One, I'm more crap at ready, Bray. And I said, dollars so boy, it is a car. I dream power detach, they say, conform grammar, a banyan for swallow. And then we will send I jump as also a chase said, I quite and no man am I. It's a band one craft, not on family. Now, you would ye, as ye.
Nti budget no ocean himself by no finance minister become BBF and one.
They said and they are late. And they are made with the American late. Now before say finance minister be call parliament no and a mobile the committee minimum can say near be 2 mom some mesra wo mo an abano nye no one cra. But say the highlighted the one taking decision we. The expectation of the beba never ask and palma.
So that's also a man who just said that he's calling that the government actually imports these fuel sources itself from the international markets. We'll be trying to engage with other drivers over here and then find out what more they are expecting from the finance minister's budget statement. Pacho, good morning.
Good morning.
Pacho, now din here day.
FM
Derek, now you show and the finance minister present budget and then I will share him or your driver and yana impo ufie asem say na wo share ya tutu nyoma bebre mo then I will share him say finance minister Beckham.
Oh, there you say fuel price na cost ro no there. Obetima ye hu bibi amaye. Aban ne de wa bon homodin papa wo nyoma bebre mu. The castle of nye bibi a na etwa ntro. Wa ya ade. De obeya no aye na emum dollar no fuel no. Ana ama oman no etimi ayede ayesa na me de kakra me kan se nka mpanyimfo no betimi anka se omo tonton dollar wa bonten no omunyina aka ho bi na masa problem ni nyina ayede aba ti ko hono mo ntu omo nansi so na june die ne kata hye bia ewo sumasi bia e fa dollar no ho no aban ni ntimi ntu ne na ayede ensi so na enema ntimi enkofo maye na aban ni de obeya no waye no ti yes resenka ende ye beti asem da nanka ye beti ne se ye fu asem no so ye de e ko fa ama passengers no entokwa nko a da bia ntokwa ntino kakra ye beti aka.
So that's also Derek who says the government has actually done well in improving the statistics or the status of the Ghanaian citizen, but he is hoping that the government would actually reduce these taxes on fuel so that the prices of transportation will be reduced and they do not have a scuffle between themselves and even their passengers. So here in Kumasi, that is what most people are calling for. They say the fuel is what is actually running the economy. So if the government can actually do something about it, reduce the prices, the taxes on these fuel sources, then hopefully everything will be stabilized. The economy will be stabilized. So over to you, Benjamin, in the studios from here at Tech Junction.
And that is my colleague Emmanuel Bright-Kweku at the Tech Junction, sampling some views of ordinary Ghanaians ahead of Budget 2023. We'll be sampling your views as well in the next few minutes as I'm joined by Mapito CBD and Bernice Abu-Baidoo Lansah. But after the break, we shall first have an interaction with the AIDS Commission as we engage Dr. Fred Nana Poku. He'll be telling us about what they've been up to as far as the HIV awareness and prevention are concerned. That right after the break.
Hi there, some 30 minutes to the top of the hour. Thank you so much for staying here on the AM show. We will be getting interactive with you shortly, but before that, there's just some important information we have to bring your way, and it's about the rise in the number of infections of HIV and AIDS. I've been joined once again by Dr. Fred Nanapoku, who is with the HIV Awareness and Prevention Department of the Ghana AIDS Commission. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Thank you. Before we get into the AIDS conversation, you know, Black Stars playing today.
Wonderful.
Are you excited?
Wonderful.
Any predictions?
Wonderful. and you know, when you look at HIV, it's also like a game.
How so?
Because the mode of transmission is seen as playing games in another
way. Interesting. Doc is very interesting with his analogies. But
and then looking at how the footballers use shin guard to protect themselves. Sometimes I wonder whether, even as a commission or as a country, we can make it mandatory, like how the Football Association makes it mandatory.
You must wear shin guard to play.
It's a protective mechanism, protecting the soft tissues around the shin and even the bone, as it is. In anticipation, after studying the whole system of football, they realized that it was quite necessary. In a similar fashion, HIV, you need to protect yourself from HIV. So if you want to play games,
protect yourself.
Protect yourself.
I like that. That's a very interesting way to start our conversation, Doc.
Yeah.
But look, there are concerns about the level of education we're seeing nowadays about HIV and AIDS. There are some who even say that the dip in education may be what has brought us to this point. Because growing up, for me, on the television, on the radios, there was either one advert playing one song, reach out, show you understand, reach out, lend someone a hand. And there was another one, don't you rush, take your time, if you rush, you would crush. And I was very young, and all these songs have stuck with me, you know. But we don't see that at all on our televisions nowadays.
Yes.
And there are some who say that, look, maybe we should look at revisiting those campaign methods, and we could probably see a decline in the numbers.
Exactly that. And that is what we are about nowadays. We want to revisit the education, the campaigns, the songs, the slogans, and everything, because there had been some sort of generational gap. When HIV started initially with that intensity and with that fear of contracting HIV, there was a lot of funds and activities in that. Currently, it has really slowed down.
And that's because?
Partly because, one, we are victims of our own successes in terms of getting the medications across. Secondly, the funding issue is also something that we have to think about. There had been a dip in funding. The things are more expensive than it used to be, and we need more funds and more energy into that sector.
The dip in funding, is it from donor agencies or government or both?
It's from donor agencies in a way. And then we've seen, but you see, surprisingly, we've seen some slight increases in government funding for HIV activities. But it's also in the area where we have such dip that is most important. When an analysis was done quite recently, we called something NASA, National AIDS Spending Assessment. Over the past 3 years, we have seen that the amount of money used in HIV prevention has, plateaued about 8 to 10% of the total expenditures of HIV spending. 8 to 10%. And meanwhile, prevention is key in everything. So we have to look at these spending areas and then realign where we have to really improve or increase the amount of money that is needed, especially in prevention.
So you're expecting that at least with the talk and today you have a program at the conference center.
Sure.
You're hoping that at least government will support you with some more money?
Yes, and the establishment of the AIDS fund, and we are entreating corporate institutions to donate. I mean, constant donation into the fund will be of very huge benefit to the country. It's like an investment, and we talk about investment case, right? Initially, you might not see the value, and how well that will accrue. But with time, you see it growing, because when you invest today in prevention, then you know you are not going to treat. Then you know you're not going to spend money on the lab investigations. Then the impact on the health sector, on the facilities, is low. So we have to invest.
I appreciate that you bring that in, because some would say, well, you say there are drugs for HIV, we shouldn't worry about the stigma, but then you're trying to prevent us from getting it. So it's important that we talk about the financial burden on the state, paying for antiretrovirals, the health facilities having to care for people who may, sometimes I'm told that some people get to a point where their bodies begin to resist the antiretrovirals, which means that they continue to get sick. And so it's important that you follow the ABCs, which are abstain. I remember when I was in school, abstain from sex, especially we were told for those of us who were not married, be faithful to your partner if you had one, and use a condom to protect yourself. Those are the ABCs. So the AIDS Commission is on a drive to reintroduce, especially the younger generation, to the concept of the transmission of AIDS, how to protect and prevent infections. And so they're joining the Hits FM school reunion on Saturday at the Elwak Stadium. They'll be there to do free testing. Free testing. Okay, so just know your status. It helps you. You need to be aware. You need to know your status so that you can help protect yourself or also protect the next person, because there's some people who would not want to spread the disease if they really know that they have it. So you need to join us on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. at the Elwak Stadium. So finally, as you go there, there are also concerns about vaccines for HIV. There were, during the COVID era, quickly we are wrapping up, there were those who said that, oh, why did it take us so fast to get vaccines for COVID? And then we've been struggling with AIDS. It made some people quite paranoid, and they didn't even want to get the COVID vaccine. So in terms of research and vaccine development, how far are we?
It's far advanced. It's far advanced. And I think vaccine development, we are at the third stage. We have the stages of vaccine development, where you are testing the vaccine in a large population base to find the efficacy of the vaccines. And that is where we are. So we're hoping. But the organism is very tricky. It changes its cell membranes, it changes its envelope and everything. So it's difficult to have a stable, but there are strong vaccine candidates that are coming up. So we are hoping that in a couple of years, we should be able to arrive at a definite conclusion and get a vaccine for HIV. Yeah.
That will be great news, and thank you very much, Doc, for joining us this
morning.
Thank you
too.
So later today at the Accra International Conference Center, we know the 1st of December is World AIDS Day, so you'll be launching that.
We have launched that on November 1st.
Okay.
But today we will have a public lecture at 12 noon at the Accra International Conference Center.
Will it be streamed live on Facebook?
Yes.
Ghana AIDS Commission
Ghana
page?
AIDS Commission page, and I think other platforms as well. And we hope that people will come, after which we will be watching
the Black Stars game. Yeah, and we hope that they build a good defense system against the Portuguese virus.
And then we will win.
Amen. We will, definitely.
Thank you.
The Hits FM Schools Reunion is powered by alumni by Enterprise Life in association with Ghana AIDS Commission. And we bring back your old school memories, the feeling and the nostalgic moment it commands. Were you a fan of Jama? Do you still remember how Gary Soakings tastes? If you're like me, you eat Gary Soakings every now and then. What about rap battles? Well, join us on the 26th of November, this Saturday, at the Elwak Stadium, and let's have a lot of fun repping our various schools as we reminisce our high school days. There's going to be a lot of activities, and you don't want to miss this twice in a lifetime experience. Stone Boy, Kwame Eugene, and Keche will also be repping their schools with mind-blowing performances. Hits FM Schools Reunion. Come rep your school in grand style. Hits FM Schools Reunion, powered by alumni by Enterprise Life. Enterprise, your advantage, and is proudly brought to you by 10 Bets for the better Koba, our lives simplified. VIP magnetic perfume from Dreams Cosmetic, Alhaji Vision Herbal Clinic, the Eye Doctor, No Surgery, and the Ghana AIDS Commission. Thank you so much once again. We'll take a quick breather. When we come back, we will be finding out from you what your expectations are of the budget and of the Black Stars game. Do stay. Thank you. Welcome back. Benjamin and Maps have joined me. You know, when Maps gets here, it's now time to hear what you have to say quickly. What are your thoughts of Ghana's game, the budget, your predictions? Maps, over to you.
All right, let's go to our Facebook page, and we're predicting the scoreline for the game between Ghana and Portugal tonight. What do you guys have to say? Let's go to your comments. And we have Enokain who says Ghana 2, Portugal 1. We have Daniel Laya who says Ghana 4, Portugal 0. And Benjamin, they can call us on what?
0302-211-691 extension 2.
Back on Facebook, Quick who says Portugal 3 and Ghana 1. Emmanuel Dose says Ghana 2, Portugal 0. Okay, and then Champion says Portugal 1, Ghana 2. 030-2211-691 is the number to dial. All right, up and down, my favorite person. I've missed you. Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm okay, thank you. Quickly, give us your prediction.
Oh yeah, my prediction. Actually, I'm finding it very difficult to predict, but Akakpo's dressing, I want to give it a name.
Okay.
And that's Akakpolization.
Akakpolization.
Yeah,
I mean, that is putting me on the spot.
Anyway, I wish Ghanaians the best, and I wish them victory. I wish that they win this match. So let's pray and hope that they win the match.
So predict, give us a scoreline. Give us a scoreline very quickly.
Anyway, the scoreline can be 1-0.
1-0 in favor of Ghana.
Yeah, in favor of Ghana.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Okay, 030-221-1691 is the number to dial. But back on Facebook, Alhaji says, all right, cool. That's what Alhaji says, but we don't want to know. But so Glow Prince says, Portugal 4, Ghana 0. Mohammed Dejeno says Portugal 3 and 1 to Ghana. Mo Mohammed says first 15 minutes Ghana will score 1 and Portugal 0. Okay.
Maps is interesting, yeah. The kind of different reactions we are seeing to the predictions. So for those who are predicting a win for Ghana, there are laughing emojis, there are likes, and there are loves. And for those who are predicting a loss for Ghana, there are angry emojis. Yeah. But here's the thing, Maps. We've been getting a lot of that. They're saying, take it easy. Make sure you have your supper before the game. I'd like to say on behalf of all the optimistic Ghanaians that whether we lose or not, we are still up to. What do we lose for believing that the Black Stars can actually do this?
That is very true.
I mean, let's just believe they can. And if they don't, hey, I mean, we'll pick it up from there.
All right, let's go to Isaac. Isaac, good morning. Quickly give us your predictions for today's game. Isaac?
Hello?
Yes, quickly give us your prediction for today's game.
Come again?
Quickly give us your prediction for today's game.
My prediction is that Ghana will score Portugal 3-0.
Okay, interesting. All right.
Very optimistic. Thank you for the optimism.
Yeah. Thank you for calling as well. And also today, there are two major things happening, Benjamin and Maps. It's the Black Stars game, which is slated for 4 p.m. We know by 4 it will kick off. But the budget reading we're expecting from the minister, as has been the case, could be delayed. There are those who are saying...
That's the first match.
Yeah, that's the first match before the Black Stars match. So there are those who are saying, please, you just clear the budget early, then give us time to process all you say and relax for the Black
for
Stars
the Black Stars game.
Yeah.
But back on Facebook, Calvin says Ghana 2, Portugal 0. Nana Kobana says Portugal 5 and Ghana 0. Okay, so this one is from Frederick, and Frederick is praying and he's asking God to give us tactics to win this match, and all the teams will meet in Jesus' name. Amen. Everybody say amen.
Amen.
Wisdom, good morning. Give us your prediction very quickly.
Yeah. Today, Portugal scored 5-1.
Hey, 5 pa. Okay, 5-1, eh?
Yeah, 5-1.
Okay, thank you very much, Isaac. All right, and Murray Duncan says Portugal will explain to Ghanaians why they were the first Europeans to arrive in Ghana. Portugal will beat Ghana by 4-0.
That's a funny one. That's a funny one.
There's this one in reaction to one of what we posted earlier, and the person says, "Go Portugal. Ghana will collect water. You know when the Nigerians say water, it means Charlie. Serious. But
Terribly.
Yeah. But we still are being optimistic. We have faith. You know what's interesting? In 2006, Bernice and Mapito, when we went, yes, we had a better team, but the vibe was same. Oh, first time at the World Cup and all of that. And look at what we did.
Yeah,
then in
right.
2010, better. 2014, well,
yeah.
that was a flop.
Yeah.
But we can do it.
Yeah, we can.
We can.
Definitely.
Hopefully we can. All right, wishing a good luck for Ghana. That's from Hamza. And Odoyeboa says Ghana 1 versus Portugal 1. Okay, so Sponge Blackouts. So, okay, Blackout says Portugal 0 and 1 for Ghana. Our last caller, Dennis. Dennis, good morning. Your predictions for today's game.
Oh,
we
too
lost,
bad we lost him there.
Dennis there. But Benjamin Akakpo, very quickly, your prediction?
I can't predict until I see the lineup. I don't know who's playing. When I see the lineup, I'll be able to make a prediction.
Okay.
Yeah. I've seen people put out their possible lineup. Well, I don't know what it's going to look like for us, but we wish our team all the best.
All right, talking about wishes, the Ghana Revenue Authority wishes to inform the public that effective 1st October 2022, persons wishing to apply for tax clearance certificates should do so online or download the Ghana Taxpayers app on Google Play Store or App Store. Applicants who visit our taxpayer service centers will be assisted by officers of the authority to apply. Applicants are also required to indicate the taxpayer identification number, that is your TIN, of the institution or organization on requesting the certificate so that they can receive a copy. Applicants should take note and be guided accordingly. Kindly contact the GRA toll-free number on 0800 900 110, or you can send them a WhatsApp on 055 299 000 or 020 063 1664, or send an email for further inquiries. Now, the Ghana Revenue Authority also wishes to inform the general public, especially persons registered for value-added tax VAT, that's the Domestic Tax Revenue Division, has commenced the implementation of the electronic invoicing system of the VAT referred to as e-VAT. Now, this involves integrating the invoicing systems of VAT registered taxpayers to the Commissioner General's invoicing system. Taxpayers who do not have an invoicing system will be required to issue invoices using GRA's certified invoicing system at no cost. VAT registered taxpayers are to note their refusal to integrate their invoicing systems with the Commissioner General's system attract sanctions. So kindly contact the GRA toll-free number on 0800 900 11 0, or you can send them a WhatsApp on 055 299 0000 or 020 063 1664, or send an email for further inquiries. Benjamin and Bernice, we have birthdays today. Would you like to wish our fantastic viewers?
Definitely. Happy birthday, Michelle, Carmen, Edinam, Dodo. We pray for many more blessings for you today and always. And this is from Mommy, Grandma, and Maya Nina. Do enjoy your day, and I hope the Black Stars give you a lot to celebrate about today. All the best and enjoy your day, guys. So we've got our fingers crossed for that big one. Hopefully we will get our win, our first win in the 2022 World Cup. Also, do stay with us. We have a program looking forward to the budget presentation by the Minister of Finance, expected to happen anytime soon in Parliament. So do stay with us. Yeah, Benjamin.
But before we go, our very own Dr. John Osai Kwapong, who usually is with us, has lost his father, Mr. Kwame Osai Kwapong. And the transition is happening on Friday, the 25th of November at 10:30 a.m. at the family home or the funeral home in Hacho. The body will then be taken to Akakpo for a private burial. And all well-wishers, all who would like to condole with the family, are cordially invited. Sad moment for Dr. Kwapong. And from us to you,
condolences.
Our condolences. On that note, go Ghana, go Ghana, go Ghana.
Yeah.
Rocking it. We pray for the best for the Black Fires, but could deal with
oh, I told someone it's like my child. I've taken the Black Stars like my child. You know, if they don't do too well, we'll encourage them. But hey, guys, let's give them a chance.
Yeah.
This is a fresh team. This is a young team.
Sure.
Let's encourage them.
They can do magic.
Even if they lose, let's
magic.
encourage them, because this is not like a team that has been built over time like other teams in the World Cup. This is a fresh one. So guys, you know, give them a chill pill. All the best, Black Stars. All the best, Coach Otto Addo and your team. See you tomorrow when we discuss the win of the Black Stars. But now we hand over to the budget team, which will take over until the finance minister appears in Parliament.